Chapter 496. In the forest, there was a tiger cub that was surrounded by danger. He only managed to survive by secretly eating some rotten corpses. His life was miserable and he struggled on the line between life and death several times. It was not easy for him to grow up. He said that what he wanted to know the most was why his parents were so heartless to leave him alone. Yang Chuan sighed slightly. Bai Detian clenched his fists tightly, his heart filled with guilt. That's impossible. Where's his mother? Bai Detian looked at Yang Chuan with worry in his eyes. I don't know. He had never seen his mother. He only had the jade pendant and the wooden plaque with his name on it. He said that he waited for a long time in the forest. It had been 1,000 years, 2,000 years, but no one came to acknowledge him. Yang Chuan sighed. What happened? Where's Aji? Where did Aji go? Why did he leave his son behind? Bai Detian's eyes were filled with worry. It was when he was 3,000 years old. He was still waiting for his parents in the forest. His parents did not come, but 3 peerless experts came. I don't know why, but they targeted Bai Tu Shi and tried to kill him. The 3 of them were as strong as Bai Tu Shi. Bai Tu Shi fought against the 3 of them alone. In the end, his eyes were blinded by one of them. Yang Chuan recalled. Who dared to hurt my son? Bai Detian's eyes were filled with anger. I'm not sure. I only know that they came from a place called Zhugong, Yang Chuan said. Zhugong. Bai Detian's eyes were filled with killing intent. I've known about Bai Tu Shi for a long time. I knew what he was capable of. I invited Bai Tu Shi many times to fight for a place with me, but he couldn't bear to leave the forest. He refused to leave the forest. One day, I brought some good wine and went to have a drink with him. I also wanted to persuade him to go with me. When I got there, I saw that scene. Therefore, we fought side by side with him. It was a very fierce battle, and we finally killed 2 out of the 3 experts and captured the last one. Yang Chuan recalled. Thank you. Bai Detian said solemnly. Although Yang Chuan made it sound easy, it was not hard to tell how dangerous it was. After all, Bai Tu Shi was saved by Yang Chuan. That peerless expert was also stubborn. He only forced out Zhugong and left behind a sentence, Palace Master Zhugong will take revenge for him. Then, he blew himself up and committed suicide. Yang Chuan sighed. A peerless expert as a sacrificial warrior? Zhugong. What kind of existence is that? Bai Detian asked in surprise. I'm not sure. Bai Tu Shi has never offended Zhugong, but Zhugong somehow managed to find him. I've been studying him for a long time, and I've only come to one conclusion. It might be a grudge left behind by his parent. Yang Chuan sighed. Aji is still alive? Bai Detian's eyes flashed with hope. I don't know. At the very least, he should still be alive when the experts from Zhugong killed Bai Tu Shi. Zhugong is obviously targeting Bai Tu Shi and his mother, Yang Chuan said after some thought. Zhugong, how dare you hurt my wife and son? Bai Detian's tone was cold, and a murderous aura emerged from his body. The love of his life, his only son, was now missing. Bai Detian's only concern was being hunted down by Zhugong. How could Bai Detian not be angry? How could he not hate them? After so many years of guilt, he did not have time to make up for it. Instead, his son was blinded by Zhugong. Bai Detian hated that he could not immediately ascend to the celestial world and head to Zhugong to kill everything. That battle was extremely tragic. The forest that Bai Tu Shi had been guarding was razed to the ground. Blinded, Bai Tu Shi looked at it in despair and said, I won't wait for my parents anymore. Yang Chuan sighed. Chapter 497. Don't wait for father and mother anymore? Bai Detian's eyes suddenly moistened. How desperate must one be to say something like that? Don't wait for father and mother anymore? Don't wait for them anymore? Don't wait for them anymore? It was as if he could hear his son's desperate voice. That voice was filled with desolation, and it echoed in Bai Detian's mind again and again. How terrible of a parent must one be to make their son say something like that? How desperate must one be to say something like that? My son. Bai Detian grabbed his teacup, and the tea in it kept shaking. Bai Detien's heart was filled with sorrow and regret. He was alone in silence. Imagine. Yang Chuan sighed slightly and did not say anything else. Indeed, Bai Detien needed time to digest all of this. Yang Chuan waited quietly. Miao also jumped into Yang Chuan's arms and said with pity, "This Baitusha is so pitiful." Yang Chuan stroked Miao's fur and nodded without saying anything. Bai Detien was immersed in that inexplicable sorrow. The hall fell into dead silence. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from outside the hall. "Ha ha ha ha, Bai Detien, come out and surrender." An arrogant voice sounded from outside the hall. "My lord, the array has been completed. Bai Detien cannot escape." Another voice sounded excitedly. Voices targeting Bai Detien could be heard from outside. Yang Chuan looked up and looked in the direction of the door in shock. Who is courting death? Why did they have to choose now? Yang Chuan looked at Bai Detien and thought about what he had just said. He was sure that the people outside were miserable. If it was another time, with Bai Detien's magnanimity, he might not be so calculative. However, he had to choose now, when Bai Detien's emotions were greatly affected. At this moment, it was difficult to calm Bai Detien down. At this moment, just as Yang Chuan thought, Bai Detien was in self-blame and sorrow. His son had suffered so much, but he could not do anything. His son was in despair, but he was not by his side. He should be the worst father. Why was he not by his side? Why? Bai Detien's emotions became increasingly irritable as he blamed himself and grieved. As he held the teacup, the tea in the teacup trembled. It was as if it could sense that a peerless demon was about to erupt, and it trembled in fear. Bai Detien was about to explode, but he still forcefully restrained himself. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside that was directed at him. Bai Detien's eyes turned cold as a bone-piercing killing intent surged out of his body. Because of this murderous aura, the temperature in the Eastern Palace suddenly dropped a lot. Ka. Frost suddenly formed on the ground, making cracking sounds, and white snow suddenly drifted in the air. A bone-chilling murderous aura. Bai Detien released a strong murderous aura. Bai Detien's eyes were bloodshot as he glared at the door of the palace. Outside the East Hall. Originally, there was a thick fog, and a concealment array prevented the outside world from seeing what was inside. At the same time, it also blocked some outsiders. However, the spell formation was too simple. It couldn't stop Spider King and the 10 other greater demons. The 11 great Yarrows quickly entered the interior. Outside, the white fog was still there. Once they entered the sky above the floating island, they quickly formed a formation. Each of them held a Dharma flag and stuck it in the 4 corners of the Eastern Palace. Suddenly, yellow gas filled the air, and a huge Dharma spell net was formed. The yellow net enveloped the entire Eastern Palace. There were no blind spots, and the people inside could not escape. Chapter 498. My lord, once this black-yellow flag array is activated, even an expert at the Middle Void Realm can forget about escaping. With the addition of the 11 of us at the Lower Void Realm, Bai Detien won't have any chance of escaping this time. King Spider stood in front of the array and looked surprised. It seems like I overestimated Bai Detien. Oh. We set up the array in the East Hall, but Bai Detien didn't sense anything. Until now, he still hasn't reacted. King Spider sneered. Bai Detien might have been scared silly. A demon said with a laugh. Ha 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 ha. A group of demons laughed. Ask him to come out. King Spider said with a laugh. Ha 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 ha, Bai Detien, come out and surrender. A demon said with a laugh. Another demon, who was stabilizing the array, laughed and said, My lord, the array is completed. Bai Detien can't escape. King Spider nodded in satisfaction. At this moment, Bai Detien was already trapped. King Spider wasn't worried at all. He waited quietly. Finally, the door to the East Hall opened. Clang. The door to the East Hall opened. Boom. In the main hall, a gust of icy cold air suddenly gushed out. Boom. Boom. The icy aura went straight for the black-yellow flag array. Crack. 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 A thick layer of ice suddenly formed around the black-yellow flag array. The array covered the East Hall like a net, but it shook slightly at this moment. What's going on? Icy aura? A group of demons looked at this scene in shock. As for King Spider, his pupils constricted. Although he didn't know what was going on, he suddenly felt very uneasy. Uneasy? Why would he feel uneasy? Dong, 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 dong. Sounds of footsteps could be heard coming from the hall. Bai Ditian was dressed in a white robe as he walked out of the East Hall. Yang Chuan and Miao followed behind him. Bai Ditian stepped out of the hall. Outside the hall, a cold wind blew. There was a sharp whistling sound. The 10 demons in the array suddenly felt their hair stand on end, and a chill filled their bodies. The demons shivered and looked around in shock. Why did the weather suddenly change? However, he soon stopped caring about the weather. Instead, he stared at Bai Ditian, who was like a turtle in a jar. Bai Ditian stepped out of the East Hall. His face was gloomy, and his eyes were bloodshot. Killing intent radiated from him as he looked in the direction of the Spider King. That cold and ferocious gaze made King Spider feel as if it had fallen into an ice cellar. What kind of gaze was that? Ha 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 ha, Bai Ditian, you've finally come out. You'd better surrender now so that you won't have to suffer any physical pain, a great demon shouted recklessly. Yang Chuan turned his head and looked at the smug greater demon in surprise. A look of pity flashed in his eyes. You can't blame anyone for your bad luck. King Spider was about to shout at the great demon to stop talking, but it was too late. He had succeeded and attracted Bai Ditian's hatred. Bai Ditian had been suppressing his anger for a long time and had not found a way to vent it. Now, someone had suddenly delivered themselves to his doorstep. Bai Ditian turned his head, and his face suddenly turned ferocious. His eyes were bloodshot, and he roared at the great demon with great hatred. Roar tilde. There was a loud roar, and the surrounding air started to vibrate violently. A tiger's roar and a dragon's roar were the 2 most domineering sounds in the world. Bai Ditian's roar, which carried great destruction, brought out his immense hatred and domineering aura. A tiger's roar was directed at the great demon. The tiger's roar soared into the sky, and it suddenly pierced through the clouds and into the 9 heavens. A vast tiger's roar suddenly reverberated in all directions, and it spread throughout the entire Julu city. In an instant, the entire city was filled with the sound of a tiger's roar. The tiger's roar was so loud that it drowned out all other sounds. It was like thunder from the 9 heavens that suddenly exploded. Roar tilde. Chapter 499. The tiger's roar was like thunder from the 9 heavens. Many small lakes in Julu city suddenly exploded, and the lake water shot up into the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The entire Julu city was in a panic. Countless cultivators looked at the sky in fear. What's going on? Who dares to cause trouble in Julu city? Who is it? Countless cultivators who came to participate in the Heavenly Bestowment Conference walked out of their residences and looked at the sky in shock, towards the East Hall. From afar, they could vaguely see the head of a fierce tiger, roaring loudly. The head of a fierce tiger. It was transparent, and vaguely, it seemed to be formed by the dense wind. The tiger's roar resounded through the heavens and earth. Countless cultivators revealed shocked expressions. How powerful was this tiger's roar? At least at this moment, not many cultivators dared to fly close to it. This was because everyone could feel a sense of anger and hatred from the tiger's roar. Who would dare to provoke that peerless expert at this moment? Watching from afar, the Heavenly Bestowment Conference had yet to begin, but Julu City was full of exciting events. Julu Mountain. Meng Rongrong walked out of the hall and looked towards the East Hall in shock. Looking at the tiger's roar in the sky, Meng Rongrong frowned. She did not know why, but she suddenly felt worried. She stepped forward and flew towards the East Hall. At the entrance of the Julu Hall, Meng Zichio looked towards the East Hall and frowned. Li Yi walked closer. Headmaster, this voice. Li Yi said with a complicated expression. It's Bai Ditian. Only he is so powerful among the tigers near the Julu Academy, Meng Zichio said confidently. Bai Ditian? Causing trouble in my Julu city? Li Yi said with an ugly expression. No, he's not here for our Julu city. Inform all the scholars to stay put. Meng Ziqiu shook his head. Stay put. What if Bai Ditian really causes trouble in Julu City? Le Yi said worriedly. No, Bai Ditian is a person who distinguishes between kindness and hatred. Our Julu Academy has never let him down. In the past 8,000 years, we have helped the tigers a lot. Bai Ditian will not cause too big a commotion. Meng Ziqiu shook his head. Millimeter. Le Yi nodded. Meng Ziqiu took a deep breath and said, after today, follow me to the tiger clan's encampment. All right. Le Yi nodded. The tiger's roar reverberated throughout Julu City. Not far from the East Hall, the thousands of scholars who were watching the game felt it the most. Under this powerful tiger roar, the entire Yong Palace's floating island shook as if it was about to collapse. What's going on? My ears ate. What a powerful voice. The 10-10-10s Are You White Dragon, Azure Dragon, and Dongfang Zhengpai all looked at Dongfang Dian in astonishment. The three of them looked worried. Will young master be all right? Qing Long was about to rush over anxiously. Bai Long and Dongfang Zhengpai also wanted to go over. Don't move. Yi Feng suddenly shouted. Yi Feng held a black chess piece in his hand and said without turning his head. What? Bai Long and the others paused. Our king said that the East Palace is not something we can interfere with. No one needs to go. Our king will deal with it, Yi Feng said as he shook his head. But, Qing Long said anxiously. Dongfang Zhengpai looked into the distance and nodded. With such a roar, we will die if we go. Let's not bother about it. Chapter 500. But, Qing Long was still unwilling. Getting up, Qing Long was still about to fly towards the East Hall. Qing Long, what is the task that the king gave you? Yi Feng did not turn around, instead, he quietly placed a chess piece. Yi Feng's words caused Qing Long to freeze. Yang Chuan's task was for him to protect Yi Feng? Protect Yi Feng? Qing Long looked at Yi Feng. Why was the person that the young master asked him to protect not anxious at all? Yi Feng, our king is in danger and you still have the mood to play chess. Qing Long scolded. Yi Feng shook his head and said, I naturally understand that the king is in danger. At this time, I cannot lose my cool. This is the difference between you and me. There are only a few experts from Julu City who dared to come. This means that many people can't and don't dare to interfere. So what? Qing Long shouted. If you can't interfere, it will be futile. You might even cause more trouble for the king. The king told me before that he expected a huge commotion and had already instructed me. It's fine if you can't help, but you must not lose your cool. Yi Feng stood up and said to Qing Long, but Qing Long was still unwilling. I believe in the king. The king will be fine, Yi Feng said with certainty. All right. Qing Long nodded. Yi Feng nodded. As he nodded, he glanced at the East Hall in the distance. A trace of worry flashed across his eyes. Yang Chuan was in the middle of the tiger's roar. How could Yi Feng not be worried? However, the more important it was at this time, the calmer he had to be. He had to give the people around him peace. Even if his heart was in a mess, he had to appear calm. This was the mental strength that a commander needed. Yi Feng flicked his sleeves and sat down again. He looked at the great Confucian who was about to lose. Bai Long, Qing Long, set up another 4 games. Yi Feng called out. Yi Feng was trying to divert their attention, as well as his own. After all, there was nothing he could do about the Eastern Palace Hall. 4 more games? Liu Zilu asked in a deep voice. Liu Zilu had been watching Yi Feng play Go. Liu Zilu did not make a move. He was looking for Yi Feng's flaws. The group of Confucian scholars kept fighting Yi Feng. However, Liu Zilu observed for a long time and did not find any flaws in Yi Feng's movements. This person's chess skills had reached the pinnacle. Liu Zilu looked at Yi Feng in shock. Was he really going to lose today? As soon as Dongfang Dian's tiger roar rang out, Liu Zilu was delighted. Liu Zilu was sure that Yi Feng's weakness was about to be revealed. Now that he was unsettled, he would definitely reveal his weakness. However, Yi Feng seemed to have guessed what Liu Zilu was thinking. He actually wanted to play another 4 games. 4 more games? 60 Confucian scholars are too slow. Let's play 5 at a time. I, Yi Feng, will play against 5 Confucian scholars at once, Yi Feng said in a deep voice. Play against 5 Confucian scholars alone? The surrounding Confucian cultivators, who were attracted by the tiger roar, immediately showed shocked expressions. The tiger roar immediately attracted their attention to the next game. 1 against 5. Is this Yi Feng crazy? However, Liu Zilu's expression changed. Yi Feng did it on purpose. He definitely did it on purpose. Flaws. If there really were flaws, they would be hidden in mistakes when playing against 5. Who knew if Yi Feng's mistake was a mistake or a flaw? Qing Long and Bai Long quickly set up 5 games. For more Confucian scholars, then, Yi Feng said calmly. Many of the 60 Confucian scholars showed angry expressions. They were Confucian scholars, yet they were ignored like this. Go. Liu Zilu said coldly. In the blink of an eye, Yi Feng performed a grand scene that had not been seen in Julu City for many years. He played against 5 Confucian scholars. Chapter 501. Eastern Palace Hall. Bai Detien's roar, which was filled with hatred and grief, spread throughout Julu City. The roar filled the sky. It was extremely powerful. The aftershocks had already turned the entire Julu City upside down. As for the great demon that bore the brunt of the roar, he naturally had to face the impact of the roar, which was hundreds or thousands of times stronger. That great demon saw the image of a huge tiger pouncing towards him as Bai Detien roared. The huge tiger seemed to be real as it roared and charged towards the great demon. Boom! With a roar, the great demon revealed his true form. He was a huge black bear that was 200 feet long. The black bear let out a long and painful roar. Roar. The black bear roared, but how could this roar be stronger than Bai Detien's roar? The bear's entire body floated up from the roar. It could not help but be controlled by the roar. Bam! 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 Many cracks appeared on the black bear's body as blood splattered everywhere. Ka. It was as if many of its bones had been shattered. The black bear could not resist the roar at all. It could only let the roar destroy it. Even the space there seemed to be distorted. The black bear's roar weakened after a while. The black bear's eyes were filled with despair. At this moment, the black bear finally knew what kind of monster it had provoked. The surrounding great demons wanted to save it, but the roar was too loud. They could not even take care of themselves. Roar. The roar stopped. The world fell silent. However, the ears of the surrounding great demons were still ringing. Bam! The black bear fell to the ground like a pile of mud. Blood flowed out of its 7 orifices as it convulsed. Although it was not dead, it no longer had the strength to fight. The powerful Bai Detien's roar was so powerful. The 10 great demon beasts were horrified. Before they came, they thought that Bai Detien was just a lower void realm expert. Who would have thought that Bai Detien would be so strong? Upper void realm? It must be the upper void realm, a great demon exclaimed. Roar. Bai Detien's face was ferocious as he looked at the great demons with murderous eyes. Activate the array, quickly activate the array. Spider King's expression changed as he shouted. Spider King knew that if they did not stop Bai Detien now, everyone would die here today. Boom. The 10 great demons quickly activated the profound yellow flag array. Activate the formation to the maximum and we'll leave. Wang Zhu shouted. Rumble. The black and yellow flag formation transformed into a huge net that enveloped Bai Detien. The 10 demons no longer wished to trap Bai Detien. They only wished to hold him back for a short while so that the demons could escape. The huge net appeared in front of Bai Detien in the blink of an eye. Bai Detien's eyes turned cold as he stretched out his palms. The cold air in his palms was very threatening. He inserted his hands into the net. Psi tilde 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 tilde. The black-yellow flag array, which could trap Middle Emptiness Realm cultivators, was instantly torn apart like a rag. It could not stop Bai Detien for even a second. It was torn apart with a single tear. Bang! Bang! The large flags exploded, and the profound yellow flag array was instantly broken. Go quickly! King Spider cried out. The 10 great demons didn't dare to stay any longer. They fled in 10 different directions. You want to leave? All of you, stay here. Bai Detien's expression was savage as he pressed down with his right hand. Boom, boom, boom. The 10 great demons in the air seemed to be pulled down by a huge force as they crashed to the ground. The ground also seemed to have been strengthened countless times by Bai Detien's actions. The 10 great demons fell, and blood splattered everywhere. Their flesh was mangled, and their bones cracked. Ka. The Domineering Bai Detien. Chapter 502. Atlas Studios persuading Bai Detien to join. You want to leave? All of you, stay. Bai Detien's expression was ferocious as he pressed down with his right hand. Boom, boom, boom. The 10 demons flying in the air seemed to be pulled down by a huge force as they crashed to the ground. The ground also seemed to have been strengthened countless times by Bai Detien's actions. As the 10 demons fell, blood splattered everywhere. Their flesh was badly mangled, and their bones cracked. Ka. The 10 demons were no match for the powerful Bai Detien at all. In Bai Detien's previous life, the Tiger Tribe's supreme martial artist, a superior void martial artist, could slap all of them to the ground with a flip of his hand. Blood splattered everywhere. The demons knew that they had bitten off more than they could chew. They all cried out in grief. How could this be? With a flip of his hand, the 10 demons were all severely injured. However, even so, they did not dare to attack Bai Detien. They did not even dare to stop. With a push of their palms, their bodies shot out in 10 different directions. Swish, 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 swish. They did not dare to stop. At this moment, the 10 demons only had one thought: run, run. As they ran, their hearts were bleeding. They had been thinking about how to capture Bai Detien and how to use him to threaten the entire Tiger Tribe. Now, it seemed like the stupidest idea. Which bastard came up with this stupid idea? It was too terrifying. Were they going to die here today? The demons escaped with their injuries, but Bai Detien's anger had not been completely vented. How could these demons escape? Weren't they just making things difficult for Bai Detien? I said before. All of you, stay. Bai Detien's body seemed to split into 10 shadows as he slammed his palm down in 10 different directions. Boom. The 10 demons that had just escaped were once again attacked by an even stronger force. Ka. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. Boom. One by one, the demons were smashed into the ground. Even though Bai Detien had strengthened the ground, the 10 demons still created 10 huge pits. The 10 demons lay limp in the huge pits. Just like the first demon that had been injured by the tiger roar, they were like mud. The 10 demons were not dead, but at this moment, they were as good as dead. They were all very sad. How could the demons know that Bai Detien was so ruthless? So ruthless? One of the greater demons fell to the ground, tears flowing down his cheeks. Today's battle had been too direct. He was Bai Detien's death. After Detien's, Bai Detien's anger. However, his eyes were still cold. Looking at the 11 demonic beasts lying on the ground like mud, Bai Detien's eyes flashed with a tinge of impatience. Bai Detien, Bai Detien, Bai Detien, Bai Detien. Bai Detien turned to look at Yang Chuan. Can you leave this group of great demons to me? Yang Chuan said calmly. Bye Bai Detien, bye, to Bai Detien bye. Yang Chuan smiled faintly and said, many thanks. You may enter the East Hall first. I haven't finished talking about what happened before. Bai Detien nodded and walked into the East Hall. Outside the palace, the 11 greater demons were lying limp on the ground, staring at Yang Chuan with wide eyes. None of them seemed to believe him. Just as he was about to die at the hands of that ferocious demon, Bai Detien, the man in front of him had saved him. One sentence. Bai Detien listened to him. Really? Chapter 503. The happiness of surviving a disaster suddenly shrouded his heart. Yang Chuan, What do you want? King Spider, who was more clear-headed, asked coldly. Yang Chuan was pleading for him. He was definitely plotting something. Although King Spider was seriously injured, he was still extremely calm. As soon as King Spider spoke, the group of great demons also became serious. What do you want? Yang Chuan saved you, Miao said disdainfully. The great demons. Yang Chuan ignored the great demons and called out to the outside of the white fog. Qing Long, come here. Yang Chuan shouted. Above the Yong Palace, Yi Feng was fighting the 5 great Confucian scholars alone, and his placing of chess pieces was slightly slow. Obviously, although he was distracted by the chessboard, he was still worried about the direction of the East Palace. Not only Yi Feng, but Qing Long, Bai Long, and Dongfang Zhengpai were also worried. The 3 of them looked in the direction of the East Palace from time to time. After the tiger roar, there was a huge roar from the East Palace, as if there was a powerful battle. Everyone was anxious, but they couldn't see. Qing Long clenched his fists. He was nervous. Until a voice came from inside. Qing Long, come here. The voice was no different from the sound of nature. Yang Chuan's tone was very light. The light tone could only mean one thing. Yang Chuan was fine, and he seemed to be very relaxed. Phew. Qing Long and Bai Long looked at each other and sighed. Feeling a weight lifted off his shoulders, he smiled in satisfaction. Yi Feng, who was playing chess, also felt relieved. He sighed softly, picked up the tea beside him, and showed a relaxed look. Yang Chuan's crisis was resolved, and Yi Feng also put his heart and soul on the chessboard. With a murderous look in his eyes, Yi Feng's chess style suddenly became fierce. Qing Long flew to the East Palace. Not far away, in a valley below the floating island, Meng Rongrong hurried over. His eyes flashed with worry. Suddenly, Yang Chuan's voice came from the inside. Qing Long, come here. Yang Chuan's voice was very light, immediately revealing his leisure. Meng Rongrong snorted. Turning around, Meng Rongrong flew back to Julu Mountain. Unknowingly, the worry on his face had turned into relief. Qing Long flew back to the East Palace. But when he landed in the square, Qing Long was stunned. 10 great demons. Young master, isn't this where King Spider and the others were at the Tiger Clan's encampment last time? Qing Long asked in surprise. 10 great demons were injured to such an extent. Qing Long immediately analyzed the situation. It must be Bai Detian. Thinking of Bai Detian, Qing Long shuddered. Was this person really that strong? That's right, it's them. You watch them for me, don't let them run away, Yang Chuan said. Huh? Do we still need to watch over them? Qing Long muttered. The group of great demons in front of him were like mud. There was no way they could escape. However, Yang Chuan was just being on the safe side. Qing Long nodded solemnly. Yang Chuan turned around and walked back to the East Palace. Clang. The door of the palace slammed shut. Have you calmed down? Yang Chuan asked with a smile. Bai Detian frowned but didn't say anything. Obviously, this anger couldn't be appeased. His wife and son were still alive, so Bai Detian couldn't be in a good mood. Yang Chuan sat down and said, "Let me tell you about Bai Tusha." Okay. Bai Detian nodded. Bai Tusha and I established a deep friendship after a tragic battle. He also agreed to go to my country and help me conquer the world, Yang Chuan recalled. Chapter 504. Country. Bai Detian raised his eyebrows. That's right. I've learned a little about this world over the years. In this world, countries have always been weak. However, in my previous life, countries were never weak. They were on equal footing with the various sacred grounds. Sects could be strong, and so could countries. From the Imperial Dynasty to the Imperial Dynasty of China to the Celestial Dynasty of China, countries could inherit the providence of heaven and earth. They could be fated by the heavens and prosper forever, Yang Chuan said. Celestial Dynasty of China? Bai Detian asked in surprise. That's right. In my previous life, before I died, my country had already advanced to the level of the Celestial Dynasty. Of course, above that was the heavenly court of the Immortals. However, I did not reach that level in my previous life. The tiger race was my country's beast, and Baitusha was the king of the beasts. He followed me to conquer the world. Yang Chuan said. Is my son your subject? Bai Ditian asked in a low voice. Shaking his head, Yang Chuan said, No, he's not my subject. He's my brother. I don't interfere with the tiger race's authority, and Baitusha doesn't interfere with my politics. However, my country and the tiger race complement each other. It's like an alliance, but it's closer than an alliance. The tiger race helps my country conquer the world and protect some important people. My country's providence is shared with the tiger race. Although they don't get as much as I do, they still have great providence. Oh, great providence? Bai Ditian asked curiously. Providence and merit have the same effect. They can both speed up one's cultivation by 10 times, or even 100 times, Yang Chuan said. Bai Ditian looked at Yang Chuan suspiciously. After all, in this world, only the academy could have providence. A country? How could one have providence? In this battle, I'll go back and establish my country after I obtain the God investiture strategy. Bai Ditian, I hope that even in this world, the tiger race will still be the beasts of my country. As the king of the tiger race, you will be the king of the beasts of my country. What do you think? Yang Chuan said solemnly. King of the beasts of my country? Haha, why should I go to your country? Bai Ditian shook his head. You don't want to go to the absolute palace to take revenge? Yang Chuan said solemnly. Back then, you helped my son and told me about him. I will repay you, but I don't like to be restrained. Revenge for Zhugong? I will. One day, I will slaughter the entire Zhugong, Bai Ditian said solemnly. Ha ha ha, restrictions? I've already said it. As the master of the nation beast, your status is equal to mine, but you are not allowed to interfere with my politics. What restrictions do I have on you? The world is vast, and you are free to come and go. It's just that you are tied to me to the outside world. Could it be that you are afraid? Yang Chuan smiled. Bai Ditian frowned slightly as if he was thinking about Yang Chuan's words. Secondly, Zhugong. Do you know what kind of existence Zhugong is? Upper emptiness realm cultivators were only dispensable death warriors. That was definitely a great power with immortals. Can you do it by yourself? Yang Chuan said aggressively. I, Bai Ditian, will definitely slaughter Zhugong, Bai Ditian said coldly. That's right. You can slaughter Zhugong, and I can see your arrogance. However, can you guarantee that your wife and son will be able to wait until the day you become strong? If they send another group of immortals along the way, what will you do? Yang Chuan said solemnly. Ka. Bai Ditian clenched his fists tightly as he frowned deeply. Demon beasts, the heavens have given you different natural mystical abilities, but you are also unable to bear the heaven and earth's merit and providence. These two things can only be controlled by humans, or by the souls of humans. Although these things are ethereal, once gathered together, they can increase the speed of your cultivation. 10 times the speed of cultivation can shorten the time you need to become stronger by 10 times. Yang Chuan continued to advise. Bai Ditian's expression changed. Furthermore, when you went through the tribulation previously, did you reach the limit of mortals? The higher the limit, the stronger you will be when you become an immortal. With my providence in your body, you can become even stronger at the same time. That way, when you go through the tribulation and become an immortal, your strength will be different. When you become stronger, you will have my support. I will follow you and destroy Zhugong. How about that? Yang Chuan kept persuading him. Bai Ditian's expression changed. Chapter 505. Naiwabo Studio Bai Ditian's expression changed. It was as if he was thinking about Yang Chuan's words. Yang Chuan was not in a hurry. He waited patiently. Of course, Yang Chuan was not calm either. Bai Ditian was a formidable person after all. Many of his thoughts might not be so smooth. Yang Chuan had been very careful in persuading Bai Ditian this time. He had been so careful that he had been preparing for this moment since a few days ago. My son is the leader of your country's beast. Bai Ditian asked after a long silence. That's right. Although he is blind in one eye, he is infamous. Yang Chuan nodded. Bai Ditian was silent for a while. Then, he smiled and said, indeed. Although I don't know where Zhugong is, what you said makes sense. However, why should I join your country? Miao, other than joining Yang Chuan's country, what better choice do you have? Miao immediately asked. Bai Ditian did not underestimate Miao. No matter how low Miao's cultivation level was, her bloodline grade was higher than his. Country's beast. The tiger race does not have to become a country's beast. It is not difficult to become the guardian divine beast of a sacred ground. As long as I am willing, the 3 sacred grounds in the world will accept my tiger race. Do you believe that? Bai Ditian said in a low voice. Also, with my current strength, I can ascend to the celestial world as soon as possible. With my abilities, I will definitely be able to control a tiger race very quickly. At that time, I can even join other countries. Why must I stay in your country? Bai Ditian said in a low voice. Miao. Miao immediately said angrily. Looking at Bai Ditian, Yang Chuan smiled slightly and said, deal with Zhugong for you. How many emperors would be willing to help you? Without going through many trials and tribulations with the emperor, which emperor would fight for the strength of an entire country for you? Kindness does not lead soldiers, and kindness does not lead countries. If you don't give enough, will they fight for everything for you? Bai Ditian narrowed his eyes. When you reach the celestial world, you will still be helping a small country. How is that different from me? Moreover, if you help a small country, can you be sure that it will rise up? Even if you really met a powerful emperor, could you guarantee that the emperor would share the sweetness with you after going through thick and thin with you? As for me, I've already been acknowledged by Tusha. I'm sure you won't doubt my character, Yang Chuan said with a smile. Bai Ditian stared at Yang Chuan silently. Secondly, in this world, I have always believed in one thing. It is also the portrayal of my will. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Oh. I am the peak of all the mountains under the heavens. Yang Chuan said solemnly. After saying this, Yang Chuan's aura suddenly increased by a lot. I am the peak of all the mountains in the world. This was a kind of self-confidence, a kind of invincible self-confidence. The mountains of the world referred to the heroes of the world. If he was at the peak, then he would be the number 1 hero of the world. Under the heavens, only I am supreme. This was not an overestimation of one's capabilities, but a kind of arrogance. An emperor must have the confidence to make the world submit to him. Only with the belief that he was the only one in the world could he conquer the world. Bai Ditian narrowed his eyes. You should already know that I am not a boastful person. I once had a heavenly kingdom. If I were to do it again, I would only do better. Give up what is near and seek what is far away. Bai Ditian, you should understand that I am sincere. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Bai Ditian looked at Yang Chuan and frowned. A kingdom? So what if you establish a kingdom here? It is a completely different world from the celestial world. Bai Ditian said with a frown. 2 worlds. So what if it is 2 worlds? I will definitely bring back the kingdom that I established. Even if the immortals and Buddhas block my way, I will slaughter them and kill my way back to the celestial world. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Chapter 506. Bai Ditian frowned as he looked at Yang Chuan. Also, if you become the leader of the tiger race, are you going to give up on the tiger race in this world? Why not bring them all into the celestial world? Yang Chuan asked. Bring the tiger race into the celestial world? Bai Ditian asked in surprise. After all, he had never thought of this before. Why not? Yang Chuan smiled. Bai Ditian fell silent again. As long as we raise our flag again and become famous, Bai Tusha will definitely come back to find me. The day of father-son unity is just around the corner. Yang Chuan tried to persuade him again. Bai Ditian frowned and thought for a while. What do you think? Yang Chuan asked solemnly. Bai Ditian was silent for a while before he shook his head gently. What you said today has impacted many of my ideas. Let me think about it. Sure, before I get the God sealing strategy, I will stay in Julu City. Let me know when you have thought it through. Yang Chuan nodded. Millimeter. Bai Detian nodded seriously. He looked at Yang Chuan with a complicated expression. Yang Chuan stood there calmly. He met Bai Detian's gaze. Clang. He waved his sleeves, and the door opened. Bai Detian took a deep look at Yang Chuan. Then, with a flash, he disappeared. Meow, he left just like that. What a stubborn fellow. Meow said. Ambitious and ruthless people all have their own pride. Although the leader of the national beast has the same status as me, the country of the national beast is in front and the beast behind. Unknowingly, he is still one head lower. In the past, the tiger race was the leader. Now that he is one head lower, everyone has to think about it. Yang Chuan explained. Meow, all right. Meow nodded. After Bai Detian left, Yang Chuan slowly walked to the plaza. Young master, did Bai Detian leave just now? So fast. Qing Long exclaimed. He is an upper void realm martial artist. Of course, he is fast. Yang Chuan smiled. Yes. Qing Long nodded in shock. On the square, 11 greater demons lay on the ground like mud, and all of them were heavily injured and on the verge of death. Yang Chuan looked around at the demons and finally looked at the giant spider. King Spider. Yang Chuan, you want to subdue us? Spider King coldly shouted. Oh. Yang Chuan smiled. Don't even think about it, Spider King said coldly. We will only honor the Lord for the rest of our lives. We won't honor anyone else, even if we die. That's right. If you want to kill me, do whatever you want. Winner takes all. If you want to kill me, then kill me, the group of great demons said stubbornly. Qing Long frowned and was about to drink it when he was stopped by Yang Chuan. Shaking his head, Yang Chuan said, Who said I wanted to subdue you? The demons were surprised. I have met Yarrow Tianshang before. Yarrow Tianshang is a ruthless person. The demons he subdued will only be loyal to him. Naturally, I will not force you to do anything. Yang Chuan smiled. Hearing Yang Chuan's words, the demons heaved a sigh of relief. The demons had long been loyal to Yarrow Tianshang. If he turned to someone else, the demons would not be able to accept it, no matter how strong the other party was. But now that Yang Chuan was in charge of them, the demons could not resist. But the conviction in their hearts would not yield. Then what do you want? Spider King asked in a low voice. Actually, I am quite envious of Yarrow Tianshang for being able to get your help. I saved you this time because I have a motive. Yang Chuan smiled. What is it? Spider King was confused. Yang Chuan's straightforwardness confused Spider King. I want to compete for the God Investiture strategy. I want you, Spider King, to play the zither for me and be in charge of the zither battle. Yang Chuan said seriously. Zither battle? Spider King was shocked. Spider King had thought of many possibilities. Yang Chuan saved him because he wanted something from him, to subdue him, or to kill someone. However, Spider King did not expect that Yang Chuan would ask him to have a zither battle. Zither battle? That's right. Spider King, what do you think? Yang Chuan smiled. Just a zither battle? Spider King was in disbelief. Just a zither battle. Yang Chuan nodded seriously. Spider King had a strange look. Just a zither battle? If it's just a zither battle, I can agree to it. However, I cannot guarantee that I will win. Spider King shook his head. It's fine. Just do your best. Yang Chuan nodded. Spider King was still in disbelief. But I don't believe it. Just a zither battle? Nothing else. Spider King continued. I can allow you to recuperate. Once you are healed, the other great demons can leave at any time. As for you, you can stay behind and leave after the zither battle. I, Yang Chuan, will not stop you. Yang Chuan said seriously. You are not going to use poison or restrictions to restrict us. Spider King frowned. I've met Yarrow Tianshang before. He's a man of his word. I think that since he trusts you so much and allowed you to lead the great demons out to do this, you naturally won't go back on your word. As long as you agree, I won't restrict you in any way. You're free to come and go as you please. Free to come and go. That's right. Yang Chuan smiled. Spider King looked at Yang Chuan and felt admiration for Yang Chuan. I agree. Spider King nodded solemnly. Deal. Yang Chuan smiled. But what if I lose? Spider King frowned. I said I will not blame you. Yang Chuan shook his head. Spider King looked at Yang Chuan and nodded. Don't worry. Since I have promised you, I will do my best. Good. Then I will wait and see. Yang Chuan smiled. However, after we are healed, only I will stay. The other great demons will return to report to the Lord and leave immediately, Spider King said. My lord. The group of great demons exclaimed. Silence. Spider King shouted to stop the demons. I said I will not stop you. Yang Chuan smiled. Spider King looked at Yang Chuan and nodded. Many thanks. Yang Chuan nodded and looked at Qing Long. Bring them to the guest rooms on the left and treat them as VIPs. Do not neglect them. Yes. Qing Long nodded solemnly. Under the Azure Dragon's careful guidance, the 11 great demons were moved to a large hall, where they would temporarily stay. After Qing Long left, the demons looked at Spider King. My lord, do you really believe Yang Chuan's words? One of the great demons still did not believe. Yang Chuan is indeed a special person. I believe him. Also, when you are healed, immediately return and report to the Lord. Do not miss a single word. Spider King said in a deep voice. Yes. The great demons nodded. God bestowment strategy? This Yang Chuan seems like he wants to establish an academy. It is good that I stay. This person is extraordinary. If the Lord can recommend me, it would be even better, Spider King said in a deep voice. My lord, you want to persuade Yang Chuan? Let him join the Lord's faction. But he is only in the Qi realm. One of the great demons frowned. What do you know? A person's ability is not determined by their cultivation. Qi realm. When you were in the Qi realm, could you make a peak upper ethereal realm expert do you a favor? Spider King said. No. The great demon was at a loss. Chapter 507. A few days later, Tiger Tribe's encampment. Meng Ziqiu and Li Yi quietly arrived. Outside the Tiger Tribe's main hall, Zhuo Wuzhou frowned and said, My apologies, my king has been in seclusion ever since he returned. He doesn't wish to see anyone. With the Julu Academy's dean and Left Yard's dean here, Zhuo Wuzhou naturally didn't dare to be negligent. He doesn't wish to see anyone? Li Yi asked in surprise. Please inform them that I, Meng Ziqiu, am here on behalf of the Julu Academy, Meng Ziqiu said solemnly. On behalf of the Julu Academy, this ceremony was even more grand. It wasn't an individual, but the 50,000-year-old Julu Academy. Zhuo Wuzhou finally nodded and said, Please wait for a moment. Zhuo Wuzhou entered the main hall and quickly came out. How is it? Li Yi asked. Zhuo Wuzhou looked at the two and said, My king might not be in a good mood, but he still asked me to inform the two of you. Oh. Meng Ziqiu asked doubtfully. My king said that the Tiger Tribe will remember the Julu Academy's past kindness. However, he is currently in a mess and is unable to receive the two of you. He will definitely pay a visit in the future, Zhuo Wuzhou said solemnly. My apologies. Zhuo Wuzhou smiled bitterly. Meng Ziqiu represented the entire Julu Academy and was already giving Bai Detian a lot of face. This was the entire Julu Academy. Although the Julu Academy was only a mid-tier sect, its heritage was much longer than the Dazhao sacred ground. With such a strong foundation, the dean and Left Yard's dean were here personally, but Bai Detian actually didn't want to see them. It's fine. We will wait for you at the Julu Academy then, Meng Ziqiu said with a carefree smile. I will send the two of you off. No need. Meng Ziqiu shook his head. Meng Ziqiu and Li Yi stepped forward and flew into the sky. The two flew back to the Julu Academy. During the flight, Dean, did Bai Detian do this on purpose? Li Yi frowned. It shouldn't be. According to history, Bai Detian is a carefree person and has a deep relationship with the Julu Academy. This is why the Academy protected the Tiger Tribe back then. Bai Detian must have encountered some troubles. Ziqiu shook his head. Bai Detian's troubles? Eastern Palace Master, Yang Chuan? Yu Yi's expression changed. Yeah, looks like our understanding of this Yang Chuan is really too little, Meng Ziqiu said with a smile. Should we send someone to contact them? Yu Yi asked curiously. There's no need for that. Since he's in the Eastern Palace Hall with that brat from the Eastern Righteous faction, we don't have to worry, Meng Ziqiu said with a smile. Eastern Orthodox sect. Haha, if his ancestors knew about this rascal, I wonder if they would be so angry that they would crawl out of their coffins, Yu Yi said in amusement. Not necessarily. Although he's a bit shameless, he's still honest, Meng Ziqiu said with a smile. Julu City, Yong Hall. Yifeng played 5 games at once. The mood of the Confucians reached its peak. It had been a long time since they had seen such a grand occasion. There were very few chess masters in Julu City who had the ability to multitask. On the chessboard, Yifeng's moves were swift and fierce. His chess style was valiant, forcing the 5 great Confucians to retreat. It was as if there was a magnificent army slaughtering the chess pieces on the other side. A large number of Confucian cultivators were watching from the side. I can't take it anymore. I can't understand this chess game. A Confucian cultivator retreated in horror. Me too. There are 5 games, and it's as if I'm seeing 5 huge whirlpools. If I continue watching, I'll go crazy. What a powerful chess game. Some of the weaker Confucian cultivators had already retreated to the side, not daring to watch the game. Only those who were more adept at chess were able to keep an eye on him. Chapter 508. Facing the 5 Confucian scholars, Yifeng smiled and said, "That's all there is to it." The 5 Confucian scholars ignored him and continued to stare at the chessboard. Not far away, Liu Zilu held a teacup and looked at the chessboard quietly. "Senior brother, do we still want to continue?" One of the Confucian scholars asked bitterly. "Yes, senior brother. It has already been 54 rounds, and Yifeng has not lost a single round. We have completely lost this round," Wang Long said with an ugly expression. Pa, 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 pa. Yifeng placed a piece on each of the 5 chessboards. "Thank you for letting me win," Yifeng smiled. "How can that be?" The 5 Confucian scholars looked at the chessboard in disbelief. However, after looking at it for a while, the 5 Confucian scholars looked disappointed and bitter. Master Yifeng won again, and he won all 5 rounds at the same time. Master Yifeng's chess skills are too amazing, the crowd exclaimed in admiration. The 5 great Confucian scholars stood up and walked in front of Liu Zilu. "Senior brother, we are useless," the 5 of them said bitterly. "Rest. It's fine," Liu Zilu consoled. "Yes. Do we still want to continue?" Dongfang Zhengpai laughed excitedly. "Go, the 5 of you," Liu Zilu said to the remaining 5 Confucian scholars. "Senior brother?" Wang Long was confused. "Go," Liu Zilu insisted. "Yes." The 5 Confucian scholars went to the chessboard again. "Go ahead." Yifeng was happy to see them go. Yifeng played against the 5 Confucian scholars again. "Ha ha ha, 60 Confucian scholars, great." Dongfang Zhengpai laughed excitedly. On the other side, the Confucian scholars' faces were extremely ugly. "Senior brother, we have already lost so much. Why are we still playing? Won't it be too embarrassing?" Wang Long said with an ugly expression. "We have already lost our face." "It doesn't matter," Liu Zilu said calmly. "All right." The Confucian scholars nodded. Liu Zilu stared at the chessboard and drank his tea calmly. Pa 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 pa. One day later, the 5 Confucian scholars were defeated by Yifeng again. At this moment, the thousands of scholars invited to the peak literary gathering were all standing on Yifeng's side. They were all abnormally excited. "Ha ha ha, Liu Zilu, you are the only one left. Are you going to continue?" Dongfang Zhengpai said proudly. "Let's stop here." Yifeng smiled. "Why stop here? I haven't made my move yet, so the outcome is still undecided," Liu Zilu said with a smile. "Ha ha ha, the outcome is still uncertain? It's already like this, what's the point of playing anymore? Are all of Sima Yuntian's disciples this shameless?" Dongfang Zhengpai said disdainfully. The words of the Eastern Orthodox faction represented the thoughts of nearly 10,000 Confucian cultivators. What else could they do? He had already lost to such an extent. Could it be that he was going to lose the last piece of cloth to cover his shame? Wasn't it embarrassing? All right. Yi Feng also smiled. Liu Zilu and Yi Feng sat down. Although the scholarly cultivators had looks of disdain on their faces, they still stared at the chessboard. Liu Zilu stayed until the end. His chess skills were indeed much better than the others. There were a few times when he even made Yi Feng feel a little embarrassed. However, Yi Feng's chess skills were incomparably sharp. The more he played, the fiercer he became. Finally, one day later, Liu Zilu conceded defeat. Ha 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 ha, I gave you some face but you didn't want to. Now you have lost, right? You overestimated yourself. Dongfang Zhengpai said with a smile. Lost. The 60 Confucian scholars lost so thoroughly. So much so that they hadn't won a single game until now. As Liu Zilu conceded defeat, the faces of the Confucian scholars all turned red. Thinking back to the past, the 72 Confucian scholars were so high-spirited. How could they have fallen to such a state? Chapter 509. A few of the Confucian scholars couldn't take the blow and spat out blood. Yi Feng stood up and smiled. He didn't say anything and turned to look at the East Hall. Bai Long, let's go back. Yi Feng said. Okay. Bai Long nodded. Bai Long led Yi Feng back to the East Hall. At this moment, the Confucian scholars no longer looked at Yi Feng with disdain. They all looked at him with respect. As for Dongfang Zhengpai, he liked to kick people when they were down, so he stayed behind to attack the 60 Confucian scholars. How is it? Liu Zilu? Didn't you want to be the finale? Why did you end up suppressing yourself? Dongfang Zhengpai mocked. The Confucian scholars glared at Dongfang Zhengpai with red faces. However, Dongfang Zhengpai continued, evil intentions lead to bad chess moves. That's an immortal saying. Evil intentions lead to bad chess moves. May I ask, great Confucian Dongfang, who was the one who said these immortal words? A Confucian cultivator asked curiously. I said it. Dongfang Zhengpai laughed. Huh. The Confucian scholars looked at this shameless person in shock. Let's go. Liu Zilu said. Yes. The 60 Confucian scholars took to the sky and flew away. Hey, Liu Zilu, if you want to play chess, come to the East Hall. Dongfang Zhengpai laughed. The 60 Confucian scholars refused to turn around. They came in high spirits but returned in disappointment. They were going to set a trap for Yang Chuan, but they all fell into it. Their mood was not just bad. Not long after, the 60 Confucian scholars disappeared from everyone's sight. In a large hall, Liu Zilu returned with the depressed Confucian scholars. As soon as he entered the hall, he saw a white-robed man sipping tea at the main seat. Second senior brother, the Confucian scholars greeted respectfully. Second senior brother, we have embarrassed teacher this time, Chen Ping said with an ugly expression. Second senior brother, our reputation is really ruined this time, Liu Zilu said bitterly. Zilu, you did well this time. Second senior brother took a sip of tea and smiled. Huh. In the main hall, all the great scholars were surprised. Second senior brother? What did he mean? Didn't we all lose? Chen Ping was puzzled. That day, when we heard the tigers roar, we came out of seclusion. Your news also reached me and my teacher. Although you all lost this time, Zilu did very well. 60 games is enough for me to find Yi Feng's weakness, second senior brother said in a low voice. Ah! Chen Ping said in surprise. Liu Zilu nodded and said, that's right. The reputation of the 60 of us is nothing. We can disassociate ourselves from the teacher at any time. We lost, but second senior brother found Yi Feng's weakness. As long as we can get the God investiture strategy, our sacrifice is nothing. Not bad, Zilu did well this time, especially the last game. I saw it, you seem to have noticed it too? Second senior brother smiled. Liu Zilu shook his head and said, I was also confused. After seeing the first 59 games, I had a feeling that I might have found it, but I still couldn't be sure. You managed to find it. Indeed, this Yifeng's go style is incomparably fierce, but mortals are mortals. Their vision will never be broad enough. Although his go style is fierce, his initial arrangement is still lacking a little. This is Yifeng's weakness, second senior brother said confidently. Eastern Palace Hall. Yifeng, you've set up a trap. Yang Chuan smiled. I just don't know if my idea has succeeded. Yifeng revealed a wry smile. 60 games. I think it should be enough to ingrain a kind of mentality. They won't think that you, Yifeng, are most skilled in arrangements. Wait until the competition for the God investiture strategy to give them a pleasant surprise. Ha 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 ha. Yang Chuan laughed. Chapter 510. Julu City, East Palace Hall. The door was tightly shut. Outside the hall, Qing Long, Bai Long, Yifeng, Spider King, and the other great demons were waiting. Boom. A loud explosion came from the palace. Not long after, the door opened with a bang. Yang Chuan slowly walked out. Congratulations to Prince Yang for reaching the second stage of the Qi realm. Wang Zhu smiled. Congratulations, my king. Yifeng also smiled. Yang Chuan smiled as he carried Miao Miao over his shoulder. Prince Yang, our injuries are much better now. They should also be leaving. I'm here to bid you farewell. King Spider laughed. What about you? Yang Chuan asked. Me? Naturally, I'll fulfill my promise and stay behind to compete with you. Spider King said solemnly. Mr. Wang is a man of his word. Yang Chuan said with a smile. Prince Yang, I can't thank you enough. We'll meet again. The 10 great demons said solemnly. Take care. Yang Chuan nodded. The 10 great demons nodded and stepped into the sky, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Spider King had been observing Yang Chuan the entire time. From start to finish, Yang Chuan didn't stop it at all. It was only when the 10 great Fae left that Spider King let out a long sigh of relief. The Yang Chuan in front of him was indeed one with words and deed. Mr. Wang, you can go anywhere you want for the next year or so. Just come back before the Heavenly Bestowment Conference. Yang Chuan said with a smile. All right. Spider King nodded. Yifeng, how are you? Yang Chuan looked at Yifeng. There are countless immortal materials in Julu City. My cultivation is also increasing by the day. Yifeng smiled with satisfaction. That's good. Bai Long will be responsible for your safety. You can also stroll around the city, Yang Chuan said with a smile. Thank you, my king. Yifeng nodded. Meow. I want to go shopping too. Meow shouted. Sure. Yang Chuan smiled. Just as Yang Chuan was about to say something, a white light suddenly flew over from not far away. It was the Eastern Orthodox sect. Yang Chuan, the Holy Maiden is here. Quick, the Holy Maiden is here. Dongfang Zhengpai shouted excitedly. Holy Maiden. Yang Chuan's expression changed. She's the girl you've been looking for in Demon Wind Mountain Range. She just arrived in Julu City. Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi are waiting for her. Dongfang Zhengpai said. Zhenru. In Yang Chuan's mind, the image of the woman riding the azure phoenix carriage appeared. She looked exactly the same as his wife in his previous life. Zhenru. Take me there. Yang Chuan shouted directly. Follow me. Dongfang Zhengpai said excitedly. Dongfang Zhengpai had rushed back to fetch Yang Chuan. The Holy Maiden had promised him that as long as he took good care of Yang Chuan, she would give him a safety amulet. A safety amulet. It was a treasure that could turn misfortune into luck. Yang Chuan led Qing Long away. The rest of the people in the square were curious, but without Yang Chuan's permission, they didn't follow. Flying in the air, Yang Chuan's heart was in turmoil. However, he forced himself to calm down. Holy Maiden. Who is she? Yang Chuan asked again. I promised her that I wouldn't say. However, you can ask Qing Long. Dongfang Zhengpai shook his head. Yang Chuan looked at Qing Long. Holy Maiden? Could she be the Holy Maiden of the Celestial Arcanum sect? Qing Long said in shock. You know her? Yang Chuan asked expectantly. I know a little but not much. The Celestial Arcanum sect is the only sect in the world that cultivates fate. It is also the most mysterious sect. Its status is on par with the various holy grounds, and it is a superior sect. The Holy Maiden is similar to the Holy Maiden of the Dazhao Holy Ground. However, her status in the Celestial Arcanum sect is even better, Qing Long recalled. What else? Yang Chuan asked. Chapter 5:11. That's all, said Qing Long, shaking his head. All right. Yang Chuan sighed. Soon, they arrived at a huge plaza. It was the plaza where they had signed up for the competition. Not far away, at the entrance of the mountain, there was 100 saints' righteousness altar. Righteousness filled the air as it revolved around a statue of Goddess Ji Chen. At the entrance of the mountain, some Confucian cultivators stopped outsiders. Many cultivators looked inside curiously. Unfortunately, the entrance was covered in fog and they couldn't see anything. Among the curious cultivators, Dongfang Zhengpai found an old acquaintance. It was Old Yang, the one who had signed up for Yang Chuan. Old Yang, where's the Holy Maiden? Dongfang Zhengpai asked. Dongfang Zhengpai? Didn't you leave? Why are you here again? Old Yang frowned. Where's the Holy Maiden? Dongfang Zhengpai asked anxiously. She went to the 100 Saints' righteousness altar. The dean and my teacher are receiving her, said Old Yang. That's good. Yang Chuan, let's go. Dongfang Zhengpai smiled. Hey, wait, why are you going in? The dean said that no one is to disturb her, said Old Yang. What do you know? The Holy Maiden asked me and Yang Chuan to come, said Dongfang Zhengpai proudly. What do you mean by asking? I've been following the Holy Maiden since she arrived in Julu City. I saw you sneaking around. Why didn't she ask for you? Said Old Yang disdainfully. What do you know? The Holy Maiden owes me something. Owes you? What would the Holy Maiden owe you? Asked Old Yang. A protective talisman, said Dongfang Zhengpai proudly. Old Yang and the other old friends looked at Dongfang Zhengpai in shock. What do you think? Are you jealous? Said Dongfang Zhengpai proudly. Bah! The 6 Confucian cultivators spat on the ground. Protective talisman? You're not worthy, said Old Yang disdainfully. You don't believe me? If I want to come, give me your precious immortal wine. How about it? Said Dongfang Zhengpai. Bah, you're too shameless. Let's see how shameless you can be. Go get it, go get it. If you can shamelessly ask for it, we'll immediately give you that jar of immortal wine, Old Yang said in disbelief. All right, just you wait, Dongfang Zhengpai said proudly. Soon, he brought Yang Chuan to the front. Great Confucian Dongfang, the dean has instructed us not to disturb the Holy Maiden. A Confucian cultivator stopped him. Well, Xiao Ma, don't worry about it. If this shameless guy wants to go in, just let him go in, Old Yang suddenly shouted. That's right, let him in. The Holy Maiden will summon him. Don't stop him. Under the encouragement of the crowd, Dongfang Zhengpai, Yang Chuan, Qing Long, and Miao successfully entered the fog-sealed mountain mouth. He walked inside. Soon, they passed through the white fog and saw the statues of the 100 saints inside. The statues of Goddess Ji Chen stood in the center. At the side, 2 blue luan were pulling a huge carriage, and some maids and guards were standing guard at the side. 2 men in Confucian robes stood in the center. They were Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi. Everyone was looking at a white-clothed woman under the statue of Goddess Ji Chen. The woman was extremely pious, and she bowed respectfully to Goddess Ji Chen. She bowed 3 times in a row. Yang Chuan, Dongfang Zhengpai, and the others stood at the periphery of the Colonel. Yang Chuan stared fixedly at the otherworldly woman in white. The longing in his heart was about to burst out of Yang Chuan's chest. Chapter 5:12. Zhenru. If it wasn't her, why did she look so similar? Could it be her previous life? But, worship Goddess Ji Chen? Isn't there a statue of Goddess Ji Chen in Celestial Arcanum sect as well? Yu Yi chuckled. The fairy turned around and replied calmly, without Goddess Ji Chen, there wouldn't be any living beings in this world today. No matter when or where, As long as Goddess Jichen exists, I will worship her. Oh! Yu Yi's eyes flashed with surprise. For the fairy to grace our Julu Academy with your presence brings light to our Julu Academy as well. If you don't mind, could you stay in the Jade Cloud Court for a period of time? Meng Zixiu chuckled. The fairy shook her head. I wish to stay here for 10 days and spend some time with Goddess Jichen. Is that all right? Here. Meng Zixiu's brows furrowed. Meng Zixiu and Yu Yi's faces turned grim. Even from here, I can feel the boundless righteous qi. This must be an important place in the Julu Academy. If I were to stay here alone, would it be all right for my servants to wait outside? The fairy requested once more. This. Meng Zixiu's face was conflicted. It was as though he had some reservations. Zhenru. You can't see? Suddenly, a trembling voice rang out from behind the fairy. It was Yang Chuan who had shouted out. When Yang Chuan saw Zhenru once more, the longing in his heart seemed to have melted him. There was happiness, nervousness, and joy. But just now, Yang Chuan realized that Zhenru's eyes were lifeless. Lifeless eyes. One had to know that the most beautiful thing about Zhenru in his previous life was those lively eyes of hers. But at this moment, those eyes were lifeless. Even though they were open, they were empty. Was she blind? Yang Chuan's heart skipped a beat as he walked over. Oi, Yang Chuan, this isn't the Zhenru you know. It's not her. Dongfang Jingpai chased over worriedly. Meow. Meow was extremely curious. Qing Long followed closely behind. Dongfang brat, why did you come in? Yu Yi suddenly shouted. Yu Yi shouted. Dongfang Jingpai quivered and immediately said, Dean, this has nothing to do with me. You've already come in. How is it none of your business? Yu Yi was amused by Dongfang Zheng's shamelessness. That's right, it was the Heavenly Maiden who promised me. She said that she would bring me a protective talisman. Dongfang Zhengpai shouted. Bastard, you even tricked the fairy? Yu Yi glared. It's true, Dongfang Zhengpai said, feeling wronged. Just as Yu Yi was about to drink again, the Heavenly Maiden said, Indeed, I promised the Dongfang Zheng sector peace talisman. As she spoke, a nearby maidservant immediately took out a jade box and handed it over. Protective talisman? Yu Yi looked at the jade box in surprise. Haha. The Heavenly Maiden is truly trustworthy. Dongfang Jingpai rubbed his palms together as he received it excitedly. Don't come any closer, Heavenly Maiden suddenly said to Yang Chuan. You can see me? Yang Chuan asked happily. He shook his head lightly. I can't see anything. But I can feel it. You can't see? How can you not see me? Zhenru, you remember me? Yang Chuan asked anxiously. Sorry, I am not your wife, I am not Zhenru. Heavenly Maiden shook her head. You are not. If you are not my wife, how do you know that Zhenru is my wife? Yang Chuan asked in disbelief. Dongfang Jingpai suddenly interrupted. Last time, the Heavenly Maiden used mind reading on you. Mind reading? Yang Chuan said with frown. She used this ability to see what you are thinking, Dongfang Jingpai said. Chapter 513. Mind reading. Yang Chuan said with a frown. It's using this ability to see what you're thinking, Dongfang Jingpai said. See what I'm thinking? There's such an ability. Yang Chuan's face sank. I only saw a portion of your wife, Zhenru. It was only when you lost control of your emotions and became ill from longing that I was able to see some of those thoughts. I couldn't see the rest. Mind reading isn't omnipotent, Fairy said indifferently. Yang Chuan was silent as he looked at Heavenly Maiden. Does Zhenru look like me? Heavenly Maiden asked. Yang Chuan said with a frown, exactly the same, except for the eyes. Now I know what I look like. Heavenly Maiden smiled. Maybe you are Zhenru. Yang Chuan said. No. Heavenly Maiden shook her head. Unfortunately, I can calculate 10,000 years, including my past and present life. I am not the Zhenru you speak of. Heavenly Maiden shook her head. 10,000 years. Yang Chuan frowned. 10,000 years. Past and present life. Dongfang Jingpai and the others were shocked. Rumor has it that the Celestial Arcanum sect's sect master can only calculate 3,000 years of his past life. Heavenly Maiden can actually calculate 10,000 years. Yu Yi exclaimed. Yang Chuan stared at Heavenly Maiden. 10,000 years? How old am I? Moreover, it hasn't been long since Zhenru's death, right? It's as if everything is right in front of me, is it really not? Yang Chuan felt an inexplicable sense of loss. Meow, Yang Chuan, don't be sad. We have many people here to accompany you, Meow said softly. Heavenly Maiden's expression suddenly changed. There's another voice. Who is it? Heavenly Maiden was surprised. Meow. Are you talking about me? Meow turned around and asked. How is that possible? Yang Chuan, who's talking next to you? Why can't I see it? Heavenly Maiden said in shock. Everyone looked at each other. Is it that kitten? Meow. You can't even see, so how can you see me? Meow was speechless. That's not right. The Heavenly Maiden shook her head. He stomped on the ground. Who? With the Heavenly Maiden as the center, a huge shadow of the Tai Chi 8 trigrams suddenly appeared on the ground. The center was the Tai Chi yin-yang fish, and the periphery was a huge 8 trigrams. In an instant, it covered the entire 100 Saints morality altar. Suddenly, the surroundings became incomparably dark. For a moment, everyone felt as if they were placed on a strange altar. Everyone was there, but Meow, who was on Yang Chuan's shoulder, had disappeared. Ah! Where's Meow? Disappeared? Dongfang Zhengpai exclaimed. Disappear your sister, you're the one who disappeared. A voice suddenly sounded. The gigantic Taiji 8 trigrams altar suddenly disappeared. Suddenly, everyone saw Meow again. How is this possible? How can there be a birth chart that doesn't belong to the 5 elements of heaven, earth, yin and yang? How could there be a living being that wasn't restricted by the laws of heaven and earth? What are you? Heavenly Maiden asked in surprise. Meow, I'm not anything, I'm Meow. Really, Yang Chuan, I don't want to see her. She's weird. Meow pouted. Wait, let me divine your fortune, Heavenly Maiden suddenly shouted. When Heavenly Maiden said that, everyone was surprised. One must know that it was harder to find someone from Celestial Arcanum sect to divine one's fortune, especially this Heavenly Maiden. It was said that many experts had gone to Celestial Arcanum sect to ask for her fortune, but from beginning to end, Heavenly Maiden had never divined one's fortune. But now, she wanted to have her fortune told. Meow, I don't want you to. Meow immediately said. Chapter 514. Yang Chuan looked at Meow and then at the Holy Maiden. He clenched his fists and took a deep breath. Can you really calculate your past life within 10,000 years? Ian, unfortunately I am not Zhenru. Don't force it. This Meow. Can you calculate it for me? The Holy Maiden asked expectantly. Sorry, since you are not Zhenru, we will also take our leave. Yang Chuan sighed. Wait. The Holy Maiden said anxiously. Sorry, Holy Maiden, don't force it. Yang Chuan shook his head and walked out of the valley in disappointment. Qing Long followed closely behind. This. The Holy Maiden frowned deeply. This, Dean and Holy Maiden, I will also take my leave. Dongfang Zhengpai also left with a smile. Yang Chuan left the valley, still feeling very disappointed. 10,000 years. Zhenru should have lived within 10,000 years. Why does she look so similar? She came out. That Dongfang slut came out. Old Yang shouted excitedly. However, Dongfang Zhengpai is even more excited than him. Ha ha ha, Old Yang, where is your immortal wine? Dongfang Zhengpai grabbed the jade box and laughed proudly. Old Yang and the others looked at each other. It can't be, this guy's face is so thick. He actually asked for a safety talisman? Old Yang said with a frown. Ha ha ha, let's go and broaden your horizons. Dongfang Zhengpai is incomparably proud. Yang Chuan and Qing Long naturally did not want to play with Dongfang Zhengpai. After leaving the valley, they kept walking and quickly left with a disappointed mood. Perhaps because she knows that Yang Chuan is in a bad mood, Meow did not say anything at this moment. She only gnawed on her spirit stones. Yang Chuan walked through the plaza but did not realize that a pair of eyes were staring at him. Not far from the conferred god palace. Meng Rongrong originally came in a hurry. When she saw Yang Chuan leaving dejectedly, she immediately stopped and a trace of doubt appeared on her face. He is such a strong-willed person, how can he be dejected? Meng Rongrong's eyes flashed with intense curiosity. What happened? Evening, in the Great Deer Hall. Father, you said that Yang Chuan tried to curry favor with the Holy Maiden but was rejected. How is that possible? Meng Rongrong's eyes were filled with disbelief. Why would I lie to you? Meng Ziqiu said with a strange expression. Clearly, even he found it hard to believe. It's true. Li Yi nodded. What relationship? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. This was the first time he had heard of someone daring to claim a relationship with a fairy. He said the heavenly lady is his wife. Meng Ziqiu's expression became even stranger. Ah! Meng Rongrong was shocked. It's true. Li Yi nodded with a bitter smile. Yang Chuan is too daring. Meng Rongrong exclaimed. Isn't that so? This is also the first time I've seen someone who dares to say that the heavenly daughter is his wife. Yu Yi said with a bitter smile. Ah! Meng Rongrong was slightly stunned. Meng Rongrong's mood suddenly became very complicated. She did not understand why she was flustered when she heard this news. So now, the Holy Maiden is living alone in the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar? Meng Rongrong asked again. Yes. Meng Ziqiu nodded. Headmaster, why did you agree at that time? Didn't you say? Li Yi frowned. All right, Rongrong, you can go out. Meng Ziqiu suddenly interrupted. Father, is there anything that you can't let me know? Meng Rongrong asked with a strange expression. Go back. This is indeed something that I can't let you know. It's just the inheritance of the previous headmasters. Meng Ziqiu shook his head. Chapter 5:15. All right. Meng Rongrong left in confusion. After Meng Rongrong left, Li Yi looked at Meng Ziqiu. Headmaster, didn't you say that the secret of the Julu Academy is there? Could the Heavenly Maiden have purposely, for the sake of our Julu Academy's secret? Li Yi frowned. Very likely. Meng Ziqiu nodded. Then why did you? Sigh, Li Yi, did you know? Sima Yuntian envied me for being the headmaster, but I envied him as well. He could travel the world and visit all the academies. Meng Ziqiu smiled bitterly. Huh? Li Yi looked at Meng Ziqiu in confusion. After the Heavenly Bestowal Conference, I'll settle everything. I want to pass the headmaster position to you. Meng Ziqiu smiled. Huh? How can that be? Headmaster, it's not time for you to undergo the tribulation yet. Li Yi exclaimed. It's not that it's not time, but it's still far from it. I want to travel the world and take another step forward, so I can only leave the academy to you. Meng Ziqiu smiled. Li Yi frowned, but finally nodded. All right. I can also tell you the secret of the 100 Saints' morality altar, Meng Ziqiu said solemnly. Oh. Although the Julu Academy is only a middle-level sect, there have been higher-level sects that have attacked us in history, but all of them returned empty-handed. Do you know why? Meng Ziqiu asked in a low voice. Because the Julu Academy is popular and supported by all the sects in the world, Li Yi said. Meng Ziqiu shook his head and smiled. No, that's only one reason. The main reason is the 100 Saints' morality altar. In fact, there's a world inside. There's a world inside. A pocket dimension? Li Yi was surprised. Yes, a pocket dimension created by a wise man. It contains the true essence of the Julu Academy. I've only entered it once. Meng Ziqiu took a deep breath. Huh? Then why did the Heavenly Maiden stay there? Li Yi frowned. It doesn't matter. There's someone in that pocket dimension. The Heavenly Maiden can't do much. Meng Ziqiu smiled. Someone. Meng Rongrong left the Great Deer Hall. After returning to his residence, he pondered for a moment. You won't tell me? Then I'll go and take a look myself. Fairy. What kind of person could make Yang Chuan do such a thing? Meng Rongrong did not know why she had such thoughts, but she still got up and flew towards the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. The mountain pass was filled with white fog, and Fairy was the only one inside. The fairy held a glass disc in her hands. The glass disc emitted a faint white light, and there seemed to be small dragons swimming inside. If Yang Chuan were here, he would definitely recognize it. It was the disc under Miao's sky-burying coffin back in the Demon Wind mountain range. Heavenly display board. However, at this moment, it was much smaller. The Holy Maiden chanted an incantation. Suddenly, 300 stars in the sky shone brightly, illuminating the entire Julu city. For a moment, countless cultivators in Julu city looked at the sky in shock. East Hall. Yang Chuan walked alone in the square. Calculating 10,000 years ago? Yang Chuan frowned as he pondered. 10,000 years? Then she's not Zhenru? But why does she look so similar? There must be a reason, there must be. Yang Chuan pondered. As he pondered, Yang Chuan's expression suddenly changed, and he looked up at the sky. In the sky, the natal star, the Emperor star, shone brightly. Not only the Emperor star, but nearly 300 other stars also shone brightly. The starlight illuminated the entire Julu city. It seemed to be very uniform, but as Yang Chuan's natal star, he could instantly analyze where the attraction was. 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar? Yang Chuan looked at the direction of the night sky. Chapter 5:16. The Heavenly Maiden held the heavenly compass in her hand and manipulated the power of the 300 stars. The starlight illuminated Julu city and the citizens looked up at the sky in shock. However, the starlight came and went quickly. In the blink of an eye, the stars were no longer dazzling, leaving behind a city of confused people. 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. Beneath Goddess Jichen's feet, the Heavenly Maiden's heavenly compass emitted a dazzling white light. Vaguely, there seemed to be 300 stars revolving within the white light. Boom! The white light suddenly exploded, instantly filling the entire 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. At the same time, it was as if there were 300 small stars revolving around him. Boom! 300 stars quickly gathered at one point. They gathered about 10 feet below Goddess Jichen. Boom! 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 After the massive collision, the 300 stars gradually disappeared, and a white door appeared beneath Goddess Jichen's feet. The door was quite blurry, and it was impossible to see what was inside. It was a door that had appeared out of nowhere. Found it. Fairy exhaled slightly. With a flip of her hand, she put away the heaven-projecting disc and walked in without hesitation. Outside the 100 Saints' Morality Altar, Yang Chuan carried the Jade Emperor sword and ran over alone. Because it was late at night, the square was much quieter. However, there were still some people. In particular, there were 60 figures standing outside the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. Liu Zilu. Yang Chuan looked at the neat rows of 60 Confucian scholars in surprise. They were the initiators of the Peak Literary Meet not long ago, the 60 people who had been defeated by Yi Feng. Why were they here? I, Liu Zilu, lead a group of junior brothers to seek an audience with the Heavenly Maiden, Liu Zilu said humbly. However, the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar was filled with white mist, making it impossible to see what was inside. Furthermore, the Heavenly Maiden inside did not reply. I, Liu Zilu, lead a group of junior brothers to seek an audience with the Heavenly Maiden, Liu Zilu called out respectfully again. However, there was still no reply. Not far away, Yang Chuan saw a few familiar faces. Meng Rongrong and Old Yang were among them. Yang Chuan strode over. What's going on? Didn't they say that the Holy Maiden's subordinates were guarding nearby? Where is he? Meng Rongrong asked. Eldest miss, I don't know either. They suddenly left. Old Yang smiled bitterly. What do you mean by suddenly leaving? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. I don't know. Maybe he went to do something. Old Yang smiled bitterly. They left the Heavenly Maiden alone and ran away. Meng Rongrong asked in surprise. Yes. Old Yang nodded with a bitter smile. At this time, Yang Chuan also walked over. Mr. Yang, why are you here too? Old Yang was puzzled. Mr. Yang? Meng Rongrong turned around and saw Yang Chuan. The moment she saw Yang Chuan, she revealed a shocked expression. Her face turned slightly red, and her heart thumped wildly. Meng Rongrong snorted coldly and ignored him. Yang Chuan looked at Meng Rongrong and smiled. He did not say anything. Instead, he asked Old Yang, "Is the Holy Maiden still in the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar?" "Of course. She's the only one who hasn't come out." Old Yang nodded. When Meng Rongrong heard that Yang Chuan came in the middle of the night and asked about the Holy Maiden, she immediately felt irritated and walked away from Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan did not seem to notice Meng Rongrong's abnormality. Instead, he pointed at 60 great scholars and asked, "What's going on with this group of people?" "Them? I don't know. Maybe they're looking for the Holy Maiden for fortune-telling." Old Yang smiled. "Oh." Yang Chuan looked at Liu Zilu and the others strangely. Chapter 517. I am Liu Zilu, leading a group of junior brothers to seek an audience with the Holy Maiden, Liu Zilu said. However, there was still no sound from inside. "Senior brother, let's go in," Chen Ping advised. "Yes, we have been here for a while," another scholar said. Liu Zilu thought for a moment and finally nodded. "All right, let's go." Liu Zilu led the 60 scholars to the entrance of the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar. "Hey, what are they doing? Didn't the dean say that we are not allowed to disturb the Holy Maiden?" Old Yang's expression changed. Yang Chuan did not say anything more to Old Yang and chased after them. Meng Rongrong also noticed the abnormality and quickly chased after them. Whoosh! The 60 scholars entered the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar. Yang Chuan and Meng Rongrong also entered. Liu Zilu, these bastards. Old Yang's face was filled with anger. "Senior brother, what do we do now?" A scholar walked out from the God-sealing hall and asked. The dean only said that no one is allowed to disturb the Holy Maiden and did not ask anyone to look after her. I thought that the Holy Maiden's subordinates were enough to look after her, but who knew where they went? Liu Zilu actually dared to go against the dean's orders. "There is no other choice now, quickly report to the dean," Old Yang said anxiously. Everyone nodded. Yang Chuan, Meng Rongrong and the rest entered the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar and immediately saw the 60 scholars standing there. The moment the two of them entered, they immediately attracted the attention of the 60 scholars. "Yang Chuan?" Chen Ping's eyes flashed with anger. Yang Chuan ignored Chen Ping's jealous gaze and looked through the crowd at the white door below Goddess Ji Chen's feet. The door slowly shrank. Liu Zilu and the rest kept staring at the door. "There's actually a spatial door?" Teacher was right, the Julu Academy does have secret. Liu Zilu's eyes flashed with excitement. "The Holy Maiden must have also gone in," Wang Long said. "Let's go. If we don't go in, the door will disappear," Liu Zilu said resolutely. With that said, Liu Zilu quickly stepped inside. As soon as Liu Zilu entered, the group of Grand Confucians followed him in. "Is this the secret that father doesn't want to tell us?" Meng Rongrong asked in surprise. At this moment, Yang Chuan had also caught up. He stepped towards the small door that was only as tall as a person. Although Meng Rongrong wanted to stop them, she couldn't stop them at all. She could only frown and follow them in. The small door became smaller and smaller. Not long after everyone stepped in, the small door had shrunk to nothing. When Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi arrived, the entire 100 Saints' Righteousness altar was empty. "That's impossible. I just saw the number 60 great scholar, Yang Chuan, and First Miss come in together. Why are they all gone?" Old Yang said in surprise. Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi looked at each other. "Don't forget what you saw just now. Also, inform the great Confucians of the first building of the left courtyard to guard outside. No one is allowed to enter," Meng Ziqiu said in a deep voice. "Oh, okay." Old Yang nodded in confusion. Old Yang went out to make arrangements. Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi looked around again. "Dean, you don't know about the entrance to the world of light?" Yu Yi asked doubtfully. "I know, but I can't open it." Meng Ziqiu smiled bitterly. "Oh, don't worry, that small world is extremely strange. They can't do anything. I just hope they don't disturb him. Sigh, since they've already entered, it seems that it's impossible not to disturb him. Meng Ziqiu smiled bitterly. Yang Chuan and the others stepped into the small world and their eyes lit up. Chapter 518. Everyone found themselves on top of a hill. They were surrounded by mountains and rivers. This world was very strange. It was as if it had been separated from their feet. Half of it was extremely dark, while the other half was abnormally bright. It was as if one side was day, and the other side was night. There was no sun or moon here. The white light of day was emitted by the air and qi, while the night was shrouded by countless black miasma. Although the miasma was dense, some of the light still pierced through, allowing those who entered to see clearly. What kind of world is this? It's so strange. A great scholar exclaimed. My magic power? I don't have any magic power. Chen Ping exclaimed. As soon as Chen Ping shouted, the great scholars cast their spells in surprise. However, all of their spells disappeared. Senior brother, how can this be? Chen Ping looked at Liu Zilu in shock. It's not that the spells disappeared. This world is suppressing our magic power. It's not like we haven't experienced a small world like this before. Have you forgotten? Liu Zilu said. Ah, I remember now. I understand now. This is the area of the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. It must have been created by the ascended immortals. Great scholar Wang Long said. That's right. Liu Zilu nodded affirmatively. Yang Chuan didn't pay attention to the analysis of these great scholars. Instead, he started to investigate the surrounding underbrush. Soon, he found some broken grass. He took a deep breath and said, Miss Meng, come with me. After that, Yang Chuan walked in the direction of the broken grass. Meng Rongrong looked at Yang Chuan with a complicated expression. Although her eyes were still stubborn, she still followed Yang Chuan. The great scholars of number 60 had been paying attention to the two of them. As the two of them walked in the direction of the miasma, the great scholars of number 60 stopped their discussion. Senior brother, where do we go now? Wang Long frowned. I'll take half of the people to the air and qi domain. Wang Long, take the other half and follow Yang Chuan into the miasma domain, Liu Zilu said. Yes. Meng Rongrong soon caught up with Yang Chuan. Why did you go this way? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. Ever since he saw Meng Rongrong's naked body, Meng Rongrong's attitude had always been hostile. Now, she was finally willing to ask questions. Yang Chuan smiled and said, Look at the grass on the ground. Meng Rongrong's expression froze. She immediately discovered the abnormality. Is that grass broken? Meng Rongrong's expression changed. The grass is broken, which means that someone stepped on it, and the one who came in before us was probably the holy daughter. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said. Hearing Yang Chuan's explanation, Meng Rongrong's eyes flashed with admiration. However, Meng Rongrong's expression darkened when she thought of following the heavenly maiden. What's the matter? Yang Chuan asked. Everything in this small world belongs to the Julu Academy. As long as I'm here, no one can take it away, Meng Rongrong said coldly. Yang Chuan smiled and did not argue with Meng Rongrong. After all, there was no point in doing so. That group of people followed us. Yang Chuan looked at the 30 Confucian scholars behind them in surprise. Ch, a group of annoying people. Meng Rongrong looked behind and said coldly. Yang Chuan smiled. Following them might not be a bad thing. The group continued to walk deeper. The further they went, the more miasma there was. Fortunately, everyone had entered the qi state and could adjust their internal breathing for a period of time. The group walked for a day. After passing through several mountains, they entered a dense forest. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. They could vaguely hear the sound of flowing water in the distance. Looking from afar, they saw a huge cliff shrouded in miasma. At the edge of the cliff, the holy daughter in white stood quietly in the wind, looking at the huge cliff in front of her. The sound of flowing water could be heard below the cliff. We finally caught up. Yang Chuan smiled. Chapter 519. At the cliff entrance of the world of light, Yang Chuan arrived in the blink of an eye and saw the Heavenly Maiden putting away a round wheel. Heavenly disc. Yang Chuan immediately recognized it. It was the one he obtained from the Demon Wind mountain range. Did the Heavenly Maiden find this place because of the heavenly disc? Heavenly Maiden, why did you enter the forbidden area of the Julu Academy without informing us? Meng Rongrong immediately stepped forward and shouted. Yang Chuan surrounded her, as did Wang Long, Chen Ping, and the other Confucian scholars. But in the blink of an eye, everyone was attracted by the scene in front of them. Below the cliff was a rolling river, and on the opposite side was a similar cliff. In the air above the cliff, there were floating stones. They were connected to the opposite side of the cliff. Meng Rongrong blamed the Heavenly Maiden. The Heavenly Maiden sighed slightly and said, "Sorry, I'm doing this for the common people." The common people? The Confucian scholars looked at the Heavenly Maiden in shock. What common people? Speak clearly. Meng Rongrong shouted. The Heavenly Maiden shook her head and stepped onto a floating stone. She stood steadily on it. Yang Chuan was worried. After all, the Heavenly Maiden was blind. How could she step on the floating stone so accurately? After all, the floating rocks were scattered all over the place. The fairy stepped on one of the floating rocks, and then another. Every step she took was a floating rock as she walked towards the other side. There must be something on the other side. Let's go, let's go. Chen Ping shouted excitedly. Chen Ping led the 3 Confucian scholars and quickly jumped onto a floating stone. Bang! Strangely, the floating stone was not fixed in the air. Instead, it fell with a loud bang. Ah! Save us! How could this be? The 3 Confucian scholars fell down the cliff. Junior brother! The Confucian scholars cried out in alarm. However, the 3 of them fell down along with the floating stone. Bang! 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 Save us! Senior brother! In the blink of an eye, they fell into the river below and were swept away by the huge waves. Junior brother! The Confucian scholars cried out in confusion. How could this be? Why is it that the Holy Maiden is fine after stepping on the floating island, but Chen Ping fell into the river the moment he stepped on it? Follow me, Yang Chuan said to Meng Rongrong. Pa. Yang Chuan jumped onto a floating rock. The floating rock beneath Yang Chuan's feet was also firmly fixed in the air. Huh! The group of Confucian scholars looked at him in astonishment. Why is Yang Chuan fine? Meng Rongrong followed behind Yang Chuan and stepped on the floating rock. Yang Chuan took the lead and stepped forward one by one. Some floating rocks can be stepped on, but some can't. Wang Long's expression changed. Immediately, everyone followed Yang Chuan's footsteps and quickly stepped onto the floating rocks. How do you know this can be stepped on? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. I don't know. It's the Holy Maiden who knows. These are the floating rocks she stepped on. Yang Chuan shook his head. But how does the Holy Maiden know which ones can be stepped on and which ones can't? Meng Rongrong frowned. I'm not sure either. Perhaps the Holy Maiden has been here before. Impossible. Rumor has it that the Holy Maiden has only been in the world for 20 years. 20 years ago, she never left the archaic Arcanum sect, much less come to the Julu Academy. This is her first time here. Meng Rongrong immediately shook her head. Oh! Yang Chuan revealed a trace of surprise. She can quickly know which ones can be stepped on the first time. Rumble. Just as everyone was moving forward, the floating rocks suddenly shook. The floating rock beneath Yang Chuan's feet also shook violently. Chapter 520. What's going on? Why are the floating rocks moving? Why are they moving? Several Confucian scholars exclaimed. Bang! A floating rock with a Confucian scholar on it suddenly fell. It was fixed in the air just a moment ago, but now it suddenly fell. Ah! Senior brother, save me! Bang! Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the Confucian scholar was washed away by the huge waves. The expressions of the Confucian scholars changed. Quick, go back, go back! Wang Long exclaimed. A Confucian scholar jumped onto the floating rock that he had just walked on. Bang! Ah! He fell again and was swept away by the huge waves. Not good, The bobbing of these floating rocks has become uncertain. Wang Long's expression changed drastically. Ah! The floating rock under Meng Rongrong's feet also shook. Yang Chuan looked into the distance. Even though the floating rocks were sinking, the fairy was still walking very smoothly. She had even reached the end of the floating rock. Pa! The fairy jumped onto the other side of the floating rock. Yang Chuan, Meng Rongrong, and the group of Confucian scholars were left alone in the air. Ah, Yang Chuan, what should I do? I don't want to fall, Meng Rongrong said in a panic. Perhaps what she was afraid of would happen. The floating rock under Meng Rongrong's feet suddenly shook. Bang! Ah! Meng Rongrong fell off the cliff in fear. In this world, one's magic power was suppressed. Falling off the cliff might not kill one, but it could not stop the fear in everyone's heart. Because the magic power that they were so proud of could not be used, they immediately lost their sense of security. Below them was a surging river. Who wouldn't be afraid? Meng Rongrong was the same. Fear filled her heart when the floating rock shook. Now that the floating rock finally fell, her fear reached its peak. She waved her hands in the air as if she was trying to grab a life-saving straw. But was there one now? Bang! A figure immediately hugged Meng Rongrong. While Meng Rongrong was frightened and helpless, Yang Chuan hugged Meng Rongrong. When Meng Rongrong fell, her eyes were filled with surprise. Yang Chuan hugged her. She jumped with him. Being held in his arms, Meng Rongrong's fear seemed to be swept away in an instant. In her eyes, there was only Yang Chuan's frowning brows. Looking at that eyebrow, for some reason, Meng Rongrong's heart suddenly became extremely calm. Who? The two of them fell into the river below the cliff. At this moment, even though she had fallen, Meng Rongrong did not feel the slightest bit of fear in her heart. She only felt that it was a pity that she could no longer stop the fairy. Why? As they fell, Meng Rongrong asked softly. At that time, Yang Chuan was on the floating island and did not fall. Why did he jump over and fall with him? Shut up! Yang Chuan shouted at Meng Rongrong. Huh! Meng Rongrong was stunned. Whoosh! Suddenly, a green vine shot out from Yang Chuan's left sleeve to the other side of the cliff. Bang! Like an extremely long whip, it instantly wrapped around a big tree on the opposite cliff. Whoosh! The long whip wrapped tightly and quickly shortened. She pulled Yang Chuan to the other side of the river. Ah! Ah! The scholars who fell everywhere looked at Yang Chuan pulling a long whip and flying to the other side. They were all very confused. Yang Chuan, you little brat. Bastard Yang Chuan, why does he have a long whip? The scholars fell into the river one after another. They were all very depressed. Why do you have such a long whip? Meng Rongrong was surprised. Yang Chuan blushed and said, Don't talk nonsense. Hold me tight. We are going to hit the wall. Ah! After all, the two of them fell for a distance. Although the long whip wrapped around the big tree and shortened, it still hit half of the cliff. Boom! Ah! The two of them crashed into the cliff and broke a lot of rocks. Fortunately, the two of them had strong bodies and didn't suffer any serious injuries. They were just a little closer to each other. Whoosh! The long whip slowly shortened and pulled the two of them to the opposite cliff. After putting away Poison Ivy's long whip, the two of them immediately separated. Meng Rongrong blushed. Ah! Ah! The previous awkwardness was quickly attracted by the sound of a group of scholars falling down the cliff not far away. The river swept up the group of scholars and washed them away in the blink of an eye. Meng Rongrong looked at the scholars with a complicated expression. There's no need to look. At their cultivation level, even if their magic is suppressed, their bodies can definitely withstand the collision of the river. They won't die. Yang Chuan shook his head. Then, Yang Chuan walked out of the depths and chased after the fairy. What exactly was inside? The fairy actually wanted to barge in even at the risk of offending the Julu Academy. Yang Chuan felt a strong sense of curiosity. Meng Rongrong looked at the scholars who were being swept away by the river and immediately chased after Yang Chuan. They walked into the forest. This place was too strange. It was said to be an array formation that blocked people, but there was a way out. It was even more impossible to say that it was formed naturally. This world was created by people, so it was obviously man-made. Why would they create such floating stones? The fairy couldn't see, so she walked very slowly. Yang Chuan and Meng Rongrong soon caught up. They chased into a forest. Chirp, 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 chirp. Countless sparrows chirped. Yang Chuan and Meng Rongrong saw that the fairy was standing at the periphery of a spacious area. There were thousands of black sparrows flying in the spacious area. The sparrow flew in the empty space, and the empty space extended out in an arc. It was like a circle of empty space, enveloping the interior of the space. I remember now. The cliff from before seemed to have an arc as well. The river under the cliff might be a circular spacious area. Now, it's a circular spacious area. Meng Rongrong said in surprise with a frown. Are they poisonous sparrows? Yang Chuan's expression changed. Poisonous sparrows? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. These aren't real sparrows. They are poisonous sparrows formed by the dense miasma. They are controlled by someone using a formation and are flying randomly in a certain area. You can't touch them. These poisonous sparrows are extremely corrosive. Even emptiness realm experts will be turned into mush upon touching them. Even stones will be corroded upon contact, Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Poisonous sparrows? Have you seen them before? Meng Rongrong said with a frown. I have, but I only saw it once. It was a forest filled with extremely dense miasma. After nearly 1,000 years, a poisonous sparrow was formed. When the poisonous sparrow was born, it instantly corroded an emptiness realm expert and his Dharma treasures and weapons, causing them to rot together with here. There was only one back then, but there are millions of them here. Yang Chuan said in surprise. Looking at the densely packed poisonous sparrows, Yang Chuan's heart was in a state of shock. No wonder half of this world was miasma. The millions of poisonous sparrows explained everything. Fortunately, these poisonous sparrows flew randomly in a fixed area because of the array formation. Otherwise, if they swarmed over, even if he had the memories of his previous life, he would still be finished. While Yang Chuan was marveling at the countless poisonous sparrows, the fairy stepped into the spacious area not far away. No! Yang Chuan shouted in surprise. However, it was too late. The fairy had already stepped into the area where the poisonous sparrows were. Chapter 521. World of Radiance. Millions of poisonous sparrows surrounded a circular area. The heavenly maiden stepped forward and headed inside. No! Yang Chuan exclaimed. But it was too late. The fairy had already stepped into the area where the poisonous sparrows were. Chirp, 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 chirp. Thousands of poisonous sparrows flew rapidly from all directions, all of them crashing towards the holy maiden. The fairy paused slightly, and dozens of poisonous sparrows brushed past her. She continued forward, and dozens of poisonous sparrows brushed past her again. She paused again, and dozens of poisonous sparrows brushed past her again. How is this possible? Meng Rongrong exclaimed in surprise. As if rehearsed, the poisonous sparrows brushed past her one after another, but none of them touched the fairy. Is it a coincidence? It's not a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence. Yang Chuan's eyes widened. So the fairy is affecting the flying of the poisonous sparrows? No, the flying of the poisonous sparrows has never deviated. There are no rules. It's just that she keeps stopping and avoiding the poisonous sparrows. Yang Chuan frowned. Avoiding? These poisonous sparrows fly without any rules. How can they be avoided? There are millions of poisonous sparrows. Meng Rongrong said in disbelief. Unless. Yang Chuan frowned deeply. Unless the fairy has the ability to foresee the future. Meng Rongrong followed Yang Chuan's words. Foresee the future? Yang Chuan's eyes suddenly narrowed. Right, foresee the future. If she really has this ability, it can explain why she stepped on the floating stone earlier. She can foresee the effect of the floating stone. Now, she can foresee the flying trajectory of the poisonous sparrows. That's why she can strangely avoid the poisonous sparrows every time. Meng Rongrong's eyes widened. Impossible, impossible. The future is unpredictable. Even immortals can't foresee it because the future doesn't exist. Only what is experienced is real. How can a future that doesn't exist be foreseen? Yang Chuan shook his head. The heavenly maiden cultivates luck, Meng Rongrong said. Yang Chuan shook his head resolutely. It's impossible to cultivate luck. At most, I can calculate the past and the present. I can only calculate the things that exist or have existed in the past. How can I predict the future? Then why don't you explain why the heavenly maiden was able to avoid thousands of poisonous sparrows? Meng Rongrong said angrily. I don't know. Yang Chuan was at a loss. Who? Soon, Fairy had passed through the poison sparrow domain and arrived on the other side. Yang Chuan's eyes were filled with anxiety as he watched the holy maiden enter the depths. Move aside, let me do it. Meng Rongrong suddenly untied the zither on her back. Yang Chuan nodded and slowly stepped aside. Ding 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 ding, the zither string moved, and a sound wave rushed out. The flying venomous sparrow suddenly stopped. Is it really working? Meng Rongrong's face lit up. Ding 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 ding, Meng Rongrong strummed the zither and beautiful music started to play. As soon as the music started, the venomous sparrow domain seemed to be intoxicated by the sound wave. Their originally irregular flight became regular in the blink of an eye. Under the music, the venomous sparrow domain soared into the sky and quickly circled in the sky. In an instant, a venomous sparrow domain appeared below. Amazing! Yang Chuan praised. Meng Rongrong smiled and a trace of pride flashed across her eyes. Meng Rongrong strummed the zither string and quickly walked towards the interior. Yang Chuan also walked towards the interior. Soon, the two also passed through the venomous sparrow domain. The music stopped. Bam! G. Countless venomous sparrow domain resumed their original irregular behavior and formed a wall of venomous sparrows. Chapter 522. Miss Meng's zither skills are the best I've ever seen. It's hard to find a match for you in this world. Yang Chuan exclaimed. My zither skills? It's still too early to say. As far as I know, there are at least 2 people who are better than me. Meng Rongrong shook her head. Oh! Yang Chuan said in surprise. As the two chatted, they chased after the fairy. Soon, the two discovered something extremely unusual. The ground is black, and so are the trees. Why are they all black? Meng Rongrong said in surprise. We're about to reach the source of the miasma. The ground and trees have all been dyed black by the miasma, Yang Chuan said in a low voice. Millimeter. Meng Rongrong nodded. In the blink of an eye, Yang Chuan and Meng Rongrong had caught up to the fairy. You two actually followed me? The fairy was surprised. I thought you couldn't see. How did you arrive here so accurately? Yang Chuan frowned. I'm blind, but my mind's eye is open. My mind's eye can see my surroundings, but it's a pity that my mind's eye can only see black and white. I can't see a colorful world like you. The fairy smiled bitterly as she walked. Fairy, what are you looking for? Meng Rongrong frowned. Don't you know this place? The fairy asked curiously. What do you mean? Meng Rongrong frowned. In our world, there are actually some seals. No one knows when they came from, only that they existed a long time ago. Some can even be traced back to ancient times. I remember that there should be a seal in the Demon Wind mountain range. It was later placed by Immortal Master Damiao. The fairy took a deep breath. Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus. I've experienced that battle before. Yang Chuan exclaimed. The Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus was that battle. Yang Chuan met Mo Yushi and Mr. Munro, and obtained the Jade Emperor's sword. 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Indeed, it is an ancient item that Master Damiao accidentally obtained. It is incomparably evil. Perhaps Master Damiao learned about the reason for the ancient Great Calamity from the Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus, so he set up a feng shui formation to seal the Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus. The Holy Maiden recalled. The Great Ancient Calamity? Yang Chuan asked curiously. The Great Ancient Calamity, that was a great calamity, right? After that calamity, the heavenly Tao collapsed, the high heavens already died. The Holy Maiden sighed lightly. The collapse of the heavenly Tao? Heaven is dead. Yang Chuan was puzzled. Not only Yang Chuan, but Meng Rongrong was also at a loss. That's right. Our Celestial Arcanum sect has actually been deducing the events of ancient times. However, when we deduced all the way up to that great calamity, we were unable to deduce any further. Therefore, we are looking for things from before the great calamity, hoping to restore that portion of history. The Heavenly Maiden shook her head. History from before the great calamity? Meng Rongrong asked in surprise. Millimeter. Over the years, generations of wise men of the Celestial Arcanum sect have been deducing, but nothing has been found. We only know that Goddess Jichen, whom the world worships, was a figure from before the great calamity. She didn't create all life, but saved all life. In that great calamity, she sacrificed herself to save all life. Unfortunately, after that, the heavenly Tao collapsed, and the high heavens already died. The Holy Maiden sighed lightly. What does that have to do with coming here? Meng Rongrong frowned. 50,000 years ago, an ancient seal was found here at the Julu Academy. It was an ancient item. The founder of the Julu Academy, Invincible East, was about to ascend, so he created the world of light here and let his descendants guard it, the Holy Maiden said solemnly. Invincible East. Yang Chuan frowned. Chapter 523. Dongfang Bubai, the most powerful person in the world 50,000 years ago. When he established the Julu Academy, he instructed all sects, sacred grounds, and academies to abide by one rule. No sealed evil item in this world can be brought into the immortal world. Anyone who violates this rule will be punished by the world. Even if he ascends, he will be hunted down by the immortal world. The Heavenly Maiden took a deep breath and said, So domineering? Meng Rongrong said in surprise. You want to steal the ancient item here? Yang Chuan said with a frown. It's not stealing. It's an agreement between my Archaic Mysteries sect and the Julu Academy's third-generation dean. They set up barriers in this world, similar to the floating rock and poisonous sparrow from before. As long as someone from my Archaic Mysteries sect can take it away, my Archaic Mysteries sect will take care of it, the Heavenly Maiden said solemnly. As she said that, the three of them unconsciously stopped. Because the three of them had already seen the so-called ancient item. In front of them was a black pool. The pool was filled with incomparable evil energy. It was as if the pool was formed by miasma and evil energy. Above the pool of water was a black rose. The rose emitted an extremely evil energy. It was as if the rose had dyed the pool below black. It was as if the rose had dyed half of the radiant world black. And above the rose was a glazed pagoda. The glazed pagoda was holding the black rose. Even with the glazed pagoda, the black rose still emitted a dense evil energy, continuously polluting the earth. This evil energy, why does it feel a bit like the 10,000 Wonders demon lotus? Yang Chuan frowned. Buzz. The Jade Emperor sword on Yang Chuan's back suddenly trembled, as if it was excited. Yang Chuan frowned and steadied the Jade Emperor sword. I finally found it. The Heavenly Maiden sighed. That black rose? Yang Chuan asked. Both. The glazed pagoda and that rose are ancient items. With this item, it will be easier to deduce ancient matters. The Heavenly Maiden took a deep breath and said, No, this belongs to the Julu Academy. You can't take it unless my father comes. Meng Rongrong immediately blocked the Holy Maiden. This is something that Julu Academy's third-generation headmaster personally promised. Since I'm able to come here, I can take it. The Holy Maiden shook her head. No, how do I know you're telling the truth? As long as I'm here, don't even think about it. Meng Rongrong said coldly. With a wave of her hand, she placed the zither in front of her. If the Heavenly Maiden dared to move, she would attack. Although there was no mana here, Meng Rongrong's zither skills had not diminished. Naturally, she could produce sound techniques. Who? The Holy Maiden's figure suddenly flickered. She instantly appeared behind Meng Rongrong and pointed her finger. Pa. Meng Rongrong suddenly stiffened. How is that possible? You weren't suppressed by the radiant world. How do you have mana? Meng Rongrong was unable to move. I didn't say that I was suppressed. The Holy Maiden laughed. Why? Why aren't you suppressed? Meng Rongrong exclaimed. Meng Rongrong was instantly restrained by the Holy Maiden, unable to move. I have my ways. The Holy Maiden shook her head and did not explain. With that, the Holy Maiden looked at Yang Chuan and said, Yang Chuan, what about you? Do you want to stop me too? Taking a deep breath, Yang Chuan looked deeply at the Holy Maiden. This woman looked exactly like his wife in his previous life. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said, I want to ask you a question. Oh, Holy Maiden, how old are you this year? Yang Chuan asked solemnly. Me. 23 years old. The Holy Maiden said solemnly. 23? Didn't you start traveling around the world 20 years ago? 3 years old? Meng Rongrong, who was unable to move, exclaimed. 3 years old? Indeed, but at that time, I had already unlocked the wisdom of my previous life. So age is not important to me. The Holy Maiden shook her head. 23 years old? 23 years old? Yang Chuan suddenly felt a strong sense of hope. Because Zhenru's death was 23 years ago, she should have died around that time. Zhenru is dead. The Holy Maiden was born. Yang Chuan, are you going to stop me? The Holy Maiden asked again. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said, No, I'll help you. Yang Chuan, you bastard. Meng Rongrong Jiaohu said. Chapter 524. Yang Chuan, you want to stop me? The Heavenly Maiden asked again. No, I'll help you. Yang Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Yang Chuan, you bastard. Meng Rongrong Jiaohu said. Yang Chuan had mixed feelings about the Heavenly Maiden. In fact, Yang Chuan had already guessed that the Heavenly Maiden was not Zhenru. However, there was always a glimmer of hope because there were too many coincidences. For Zhenru, Yang Chuan did not want to give up even though he knew that there was a dead end ahead. You'll help me. No need. The Heavenly Maiden shook her head. With that, the Heavenly Maiden walked to the side of the black pool. With a wave of her hand, a ribbon flew out of her sleeve and wrapped around the glazed pagoda. No. Yang Chuan immediately shouted. The Heavenly Maiden frowned and turned back. The glazed pagoda is aimed at the black rose. Once the pagoda is taken away, the black rose will instantly release the evil aura that corrodes us. It will be even more powerful than the poisonous sparrow. We cannot take it away. We have to deal with the black rose first. Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. The Heavenly Maiden nodded. The ribbon loosened and shot toward the black rose as if she wanted to subdue it first. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The end of the ribbon was suddenly corroded clean. What's wrong? The Heavenly Maiden raised her brows. The half-corroded ribbon fell into the black pool below. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The black water instantly corroded the ribbon again. What a heavy evil aura, the Heavenly Maiden exclaimed. With that, the Heavenly Maiden took out a purple jade box. The jade box released a faint light and moved toward the black rose. Sizzle. The jade box instantly corroded again. How is that possible? The purple jade box is a Tier 9 Dharma treasure. It's only one step away from an immortal artifact. The Heavenly Maiden exclaimed. Buzz. The Jade Emperor sword on Yang Chuan's back trembled violently as if it was excited about something. Yang Chuan frowned and took out the Jade Emperor sword. Let me try. Yang Chuan stepped forward. You. Fairy revealed a look of disbelief. Yang Chuan walked forward, mostly because of the Jade Emperor's sword's thoughts. The Jade Emperor's sword was excited. Yang Chuan had experienced this kind of excitement before. In the past, when he killed people and sucked their blood, he was excited. However, it was not as intense as now. Could it be that the Jade Emperor's sword could also absorb this evil aura? He probingly inserted the Jade Emperor's sword into the side of the pool. Gululu. The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly made a sound like it was drinking water. Rumble. A large amount of evil aura suddenly gathered towards the Jade Emperor sword. The evil aura grew denser and denser. The surroundings of the Jade Emperor's sword instantly turned pitch black. Hey! Fairy exclaimed in surprise. Yang Chuan was even more surprised. The Jade Emperor's sword was already evil enough. Was it not enough? Gululu. The water in the small pool churned and flowed towards the shore, towards the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword instantly turned pitch black. Its entire body glowed with a dark light. What kind of sword is that? Fairy exclaimed. Not only Fairy, but Meng Rongrong also looked at Yang Chuan's Jade Emperor's sword in surprise. Jade Emperor. Yang Chuan frowned. The Jade Emperor's sword did not need him to activate it. It absorbed the water on its own as if it was a rare tonic. Gululu, gululu. More and more black water in the small pool gathered towards the Jade Emperor's sword. After half an hour, the black pool dried up. All the black water was absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword was surrounded by black aura, making it impossible for anyone to get close. This was not the end. The black aura connected to the black rose in midair as if it was extracting the evil aura of the black rose. Buzz. Chapter 525. The black rose let out a rumbling sound as if it was trying to stop the black gas from leaking out. At this moment, the glazed pagoda suddenly emitted a dazzling rainbow light that shot towards the black rose. In an instant, the black rose was suppressed by the pagoda and struggled bitterly. On the other side, the Jade Emperor's sword was violently absorbing the nourishing energy. Rumble. The black rose's evil energy was flowing towards the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword slowly emitted a faint black sword energy. Your sword has a sword spirit. The Heavenly Lady was shocked. It's not fully cultivated. It's only in its embryonic form. It should be a type of instinct. Yang Chuan shook his head. Yang Chuan also looked at the Jade Emperor's sword in shock. Yang Chuan was sure that the Jade Emperor's sword spirit was rapidly improving and condensing. Rumble. The black gas surged towards the black rose, causing it to tremble. As if it couldn't take it anymore, the glazed pagoda emitted an even brighter light that shot towards the black rose. Gradually, a petal of the black rose suddenly fell. It was as if the black rose was withering. The falling petal turned into a black gas in the air and was absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword again. Your sword extracted the evil aura of the black rose and extracted its essence? It seems so. Yang Chuan nodded seriously. The Jade Emperor's sword was trembling violently. It was emitting a joyful sound. Sword spirit? Is it really going to complete the sword spirit? Yang Chuan was shocked. Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with anticipation and worry. He was anticipating that the sword spirit was about to be completed. It took him thousands of years to cultivate the sword spirit in his previous life. In this life, it only took him a few years. He was worried that the sword spirit wasn't cultivated by him. He had to quickly subdue it. Otherwise, the Jade Emperor's sword would no longer recognize him as its master. Whoosh. The black rose continued to wither as the Jade Emperor's sword absorbed the evil energy. Iron Jade Essence. But why can it contain the evil energy? The Heavenly Lady was confused. My sword is no longer pure Iron Jade Essence. It mutated after being tainted by the evil energy of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. It seems that the black rose and the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus are of the same origin. Yang Chuan frowned. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The petals withered and the black rose became smaller and smaller. Gradually, it was absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword. Boom. The glazed pagoda. The Heavenly Lady reached out her hand to. The pagoda emitted a dazzling light. Rise. The Heavenly Maiden shouted. Rumble. The pagoda was lifted up by the Holy Maiden, and the ground around it began to shake strangely. Mountains to the ground to break. It was to be a strong earthquake. Young Master Yang, Miss Meng, we'll meet again. The Holy Maiden carried the pagoda and soared into the sky, flying into the distance. The pagoda. It too, Chi too. To it radiant world. Great morality area. As Liu Zilu and the others entered deeper into the palace, they gradually saw a large number of palaces. Everyone rushed over excitedly and entered a large hall. So many books. A Confucian exclaimed. The Confucian scholars took out different books and started reading. Are these books from 30,000 years ago? 30,000 years ago, a Confucian scholar said excitedly. What a dense righteous energy. If I meditate here, my cultivation will definitely increase tenfold with this scripture. Chapter 526. The Confucian scholars looked on excitedly. In the depths of the palaces, the door to a large hall with the words Hall of Light on it suddenly opened. A skinny old man stepped out. He was dressed in white and had a diamond-shaped mark in between his eyebrows. His expression was cold and his eyes were deep like a deep pool. The old man glanced at the palace where Liu Zilu and the rest were, then turned to look at the miasma area in the distance. The miasma is decreasing. The demonic rose has been taken by someone. Who? The old man's eyes narrowed. Suddenly, a colorful light shot into the sky. The colorful light was extremely dazzling, and wherever it passed, the miasma would be purified. A lady was flying quickly with a pagoda. That bastard Meng Ziqiu, how dare he let so many people sneak into the world of light and steal our treasure? The old man stared. As the old man stared, the heavenly maiden in the distance held the pagoda in one hand and the heavenly disk in the other. Star power. The heavenly maiden shouted. Boom. The heavenly disk emitted a white light. In the sky of Julu City outside the world of light, the 300 stars that had dimmed suddenly became dazzling again. Whoosh. Endless light shot down from the starry sky, causing the citizens of Julu City to be shocked. Similarly, it came quickly and left even faster. In the blink of an eye, the dazzling stars disappeared. Outside the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar, a group of Confucian scholars stood guard, not allowing anyone to enter. The 100 Saints' Righteousness altar was empty. Whoosh, whoosh. Behind the statue of Goddess Ji Chen, 10 expressionless men walked out. There was also a huge green phoenix carriage. They were the subordinates of the Heavenly Maiden. They had not left Julu City and had been hiding here. They were waiting for the Heavenly Maiden's signal. The 10 expressionless men formed a circle and attacked the entrance of the world of light at the same time. Hong tilde 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 tilde. A loud sound echoed throughout the entire Julu City. In an instant, the entrance of the world of light opened again. What's that sound? The Confucian scholars exclaimed outside. Quick, inform the dean, someone shouted. A few Confucian scholars rushed into the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar. Bastard, who are you people? The Confucian scholars shouted. However, the Heavenly Maiden's subordinates did not care. Rumble. A huge glazed pagoda emerged from the entrance. Fairy rushed out with the pagoda in her hand. Let's go. Heavenly Maiden jumped onto the carriage and shouted. The figures of the 10 wooden men suddenly swayed and turned into 10 huge blue wands. 12 blue wands bit the ropes of the huge chariot and immediately soared into the sky. Who? With a terrifying speed, he instantly turned into a green stream of light and shot far away. Where do you think you're going? At the entrance, another white light soared into the sky. The old man with the diamond-shaped mark between his eyebrows chased after them. His speed was so fast that it shocked the group of great scholars. Who is this person? Someone asked in shock. In the light world. Black gas surrounded the Jade Emperor's sword. Yang Chuan's eyes turned solemn. He had to suppress the sword spirit before it was fully formed. Although the black sword chi was wreaking havoc, Yang Chuan still resolutely walked over. He reached out and grabbed the Jade Emperor sword. Boom. The Jade Emperor sword emitted a dazzling black light as if it was fiercely repelling Yang Chuan. Evil creature, how dare you? Yang Chuan glared. Boom. Yang Chuan's aura suddenly became stronger. The Jade Emperor sword's evil aura wreaked havoc and fiercely attacked Yang Chuan, trying to push Yang Chuan away. Roar. Yang Chuan's face instantly turned ferocious. The true dragon's will was released and clashed with the Jade Emperor sword's evil aura. However, the evil aura was too fierce. It was so fierce that even with Yang Chuan's will from his previous life, he could not suppress it. It was as if he would not be able to resist it very soon. The powerful evil aura even wanted to corrode Yang Chuan's body. Chapter 527. Yang Chuan, how are you? Meng Rongrong couldn't move, but she was still worried. Yang Chuan's current appearance was a little scary. His face was ferocious, and his veins were bulging. Waves of tyrannical aura surged out, but the Jade Emperor Sword's evil aura was too dense. Gaga gaga. It was as if hundreds of black demonic heads had appeared in an instant, resisting Yang Chuan's aura. Yang Chuan's hands had already turned pitch black. Moreover, this black color was spreading to his entire body. Bastard, if it wasn't for the fact that I lost everything from my previous life, I would only need one seal to kill you. Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with anger. Yang Chuan? Yang Chuan? Meng Rongrong said anxiously. At this moment, Yang Chuan naturally didn't have the time to care about Meng Rongrong. Holding the Jade Emperor Sword, his eyes suddenly turned slightly red. Thump, thump, thump. Yang Chuan's heart suddenly started beating faster and faster. Yang Chuan's hair also slowly turned red, and slowly grew longer. Ah! Meng Rongrong cried out in surprise. Yang Chuan's entire body was emitting bloody light. The bloody light outside his body seemed to be fighting against the evil aura. Super Theurgy, suppress the evil aura for me, Yang Chuan roared with a ferocious expression. Boom! Yang Chuan's aura rose rapidly. But it was still not enough. The evil aura was too strong. Looking up at the sky, Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of depression. Small world. With my current strength, I still can't forcefully use the power of the stars in a place without stars. Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of helplessness. He used his super divine ability. His hair turned blood red, and his strength skyrocketed. Even with the will of the Emperor, he was still unable to suppress the evil energy. Yang Chuan's forearm had already turned completely black. The evil energy was continuously corroding his body. Are you going to give up the Jade Emperor Sword? No, the Jade Emperor's sword is mine. As long as I don't die, you will forever serve me. Yang Chuan roared. With a loud roar, the violent aura once again rushed into the Jade Emperor's sword. Rumble. The two powerful forces collided with each other, and the surrounding air shook as if a hurricane had blown past. Boom. Yang Chuan's arm emitted a series of loud bangs. The blood mist and black gas mixed together, making the inside of the Yang Chuan look incomparably evil. Yang Chuan? How are you? Meng Rongrong asked anxiously. Ka. In the collision, cracks seemed to have appeared on Yang Chuan's skin. The powerful force collided, and Yang Chuan's Qi realm body seemed to be unable to withstand it. Go back, roar tilde. Yang Chuan's cracked skin suddenly spewed out a large amount of blood. His originally long hair suddenly grew again, and in the blink of an eye, it grew from his back all the way to his waist. Boom! On the ground, a huge blood lake suddenly rushed out from under Yang Chuan's feet. It appeared out of nowhere, as if Yang Chuan had created the blood lake with his steps. No, it should be a blood sea. However, at this moment, it was limited by Yang Chuan's cultivation, and the blood sea was too small. Even though the blood sea was too small, it instantly filled the entire valley. The blood sea swept up a huge wave that was 10 feet high, but it didn't continue to extend outwards. Once the blood sea appeared, it rumbled and absorbed the heaven and earth yuan qi from all directions. In the blood sea, Yang Chuan was no longer surrounded by blood mist. Instead, blood waves surrounded Yang Chuan, making him look like a sea demon. I'm here, go back into the sword. Yang Chuan roared. Boom, boom, boom. Chapter 528. A large amount of black gas was forcefully pushed back, and the black gas on Yang Chuan's arm was slowly shrinking. On the other side, Meng Rongrong, who was submerged in the blood sea with only her head exposed, was shocked. This is... What's going on? Blood sea. Meng Rongrong was shocked. Yang Chuan's eyes were blood red as he turned to look at Meng Rongrong, his eyes filled with madness. Suppressing the evil energy, Yang Chuan took a deep breath. Super Theurgy, second form? Blood sea realm? What a great feeling! Yang Chuan said with excitement. As the evil energy was being suppressed, Yang Chuan was also able to feel the second form of the bloodline Theurgy, the blood sea realm. A sea of energy for him to use. Rumble. All the black gas was pushed back into the Jade Emperor sword. Phew. Yang Chuan laughed excitedly with a sense of unbridled arrogance. Just like before, the Jade Emperor sword once again sent a portion of its energy into Yang Chuan's body. Different from before, this time it asked for Yang Chuan's permission. Under normal circumstances, Yang Chuan would have to think about it calmly, but now, with the second form of the super theurgy, Yang Chuan's body was filled with excitement. Power! Come! Phew! Waves of evil energy rushed into Yang Chuan's body. Boom! Yang Chuan's body made a loud sound. Third level of the Qi realm? Yang Chuan said excitedly. The powerful energy continued to rush into Yang Chuan's body, and Yang Chuan enjoyed it. Gradually, Yang Chuan's face turned red. Phew! Phew! Yang Chuan's breathing became rapid. What's going on? My blood qi? Super Yang Chuan looked at the Jade Emperor sword in shock. Rose. Roses. Was it the black rose he had absorbed earlier? The essence of roses has an aphrodisiac effect. Black rose was even worse. What an overbearing effect. Not good. Super Yang Chuan's expression changed. Even now, you still want to resist. Die, roar. With the heat of his boiling blood, Yang Chuan roared again. A powerful force rushed towards the Jade Emperor sword. The Jade Emperor's sword had wanted to put up a final resistance, but at that moment, Yang Chuan's power was too overbearing. With the addition of the heat, it pressed down on the Jade Emperor's sword. Boom! The Jade King's sword let out a loud boom. The resistance that was about to give birth to a sword spirit was completely destroyed by Yang Chuan's power. The surrounding black qi suddenly retracted into the Jade Emperor sword. It did not dare to resist anymore. Yang Chuan had won. He had completely subdued the Jade Emperor sword. However, the aphrodisiac essence of the black rose was all poured into Yang Chuan's body. Yang Chuan's body became hotter and hotter. His eyes were bloodshot and his thoughts were in a mess. It was as if he was lost in his desire. With nowhere to vent his desire, Yang Chuan fell into a frenzy. Ah! Yang Chuan roared in agitation. Yang Chuan, are you okay? A voice suddenly came from the sea of blood. This voice was like an outlet for him to vent his anger. The lost Yang Chuan suddenly turned his head. His eyes were filled with strong desire. Yang Chuan, what are you doing? Meng Rongrong suddenly felt that something was wrong. Whoosh! Yang Chuan rushed over and hugged Meng Rongrong. No. However, Yang Chuan had already lost his mind. He reached out and tore off their clothes. His blood-red hair wrapped around the two of them. His most primitive instinct was activated. As Meng Rongrong resisted, Yang Chuan's actions became more and more violent. Meng Rongrong's most beautiful dream was completely destroyed by Yang Chuan, who had lost his mind. Chapter 529. Yang Chuan, I hate you. Meng Rongrong cried out with tears in her eyes. But soon, she was immersed in Yang Chuan's violent charge. The heavenly lady rushed out of the radiant world, carried the pagoda, and boarded the green phoenix carriage. The 12 green phoenixes pulled the carriage at an astonishing speed. They rushed out of Julu City in an instant and continued to fly into the distance. But the person behind was even faster. The two of them chased and neither of them was willing to stop. After 2 hours, they finally caught up. The white-robed elder appeared in front of the green phoenix carriage. Ying! 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 The 12 green phoenixes cried out and stopped. The heavenly lady carried the pagoda and stood in front of the carriage. Rumble! In the sky, rolling black clouds suddenly appeared, as though they were targeting the white-robed elder. If not for you, I would have caught up with this girl. The white-robed elder shouted at the black clouds in the sky. The diamond-shaped mark between the elder's eyebrows suddenly emitted a white light that enveloped him. Instantly, the thunderclouds in the sky became much smaller, but they still floated above the white-robed elder's head. Little girl, how dare you? The white-robed elder said coldly. The heavenly lady did not panic. Instead, she stood in front of the carriage and said calmly, the current heavenly lady of the Celestial Arcanum sect greets Senior. Celestial Arcanum sect. The white-robed elder frowned. May I ask who Senior is? The heavenly lady asked solemnly. I am Meng Lingtian. The white-robed elder said. Meng Lingtian? You are. The heavenly lady was surprised. That's right, you are right. Hand over the demonic rose and the glazed pagoda. For the sake of the celestial arcanum sect, I can let bygones be bygones. The white-robed elder, Meng Lingtian, said in a deep voice. Let bygones be bygones? Senior, you have misunderstood. What I want is not to let bygones be bygones, but the promise of the Julu Academy. Since you are Meng Lingtian, I don't have to waste my breath. You also know about the promise. Since I have already obtained it, does the Julu Academy want to go back on its words? The heavenly lady said in a deep voice. Meng Lingtian narrowed his eyes. Senior Meng, your Julu Academy has a strong foundation, but my archaic arcanum sect isn't just an empty shell. If the Julu Academy has someone like you, how could my archaic arcanum sect not have one? This was the agreement from back then. Could it be that you want to go back on your word? If you go back on your words, I guarantee that the archaic arcanum sect will come immediately, shouted the holy maiden. Ha 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 ha, little girl, are you trying to scare me? You're still too inexperienced. Come on, my Julu Academy has never been afraid of anyone, Meng Lingtian said disdainfully. Senior Meng, is the Julu Academy really going back on its word? The holy maiden asked in a deep voice. Meng Lingtian's face darkened. This item will only be safeguarded by my celestial arcanum sect. My celestial arcanum sect will set up obstacles. In the future, if anyone from the Julu Academy has the ability, they can go to the celestial arcanum sect to retrieve it. How about it? Said the heavenly maiden. Rumble. The dark clouds above Meng Lingtian's head continued to rumble, as if they would strike down at any moment. Looking at the dark clouds above his head, Meng Lingtian's face darkened. Senior Meng, let's leave the matters of the younger generation to the juniors. Back then, the third-generation headmaster of the Julu Academy made an agreement with my sect. No matter what, senior, don't worry. We won't violate the rules set down by Invincible East back then, Fairy said solemnly. Looking at the holy maiden, Meng Lingtian revealed a strange smile. Ha 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 ha, a junior from the celestial arcanum sect? All right, I won't interfere. However, you must take good care of these two items. I will select a Julu Academy disciple to personally teach them. When the time comes, I will come to the archaic arcanum sect to retrieve the treasures. Meng Lingtian shouted. Thank you, Senior Meng, for granting my wish. The holy maiden will definitely not forget. The holy maiden smiled. Let's go. Meng Lingtian flicked his sleeve. Let's go. Fairy shouted. Hum. Hum. Qingluan pulled Fairy and shot far away in an instant. Meng Lingtian's expression was gloomy as he watched the holy maiden leave. He then looked up at the dark clouds in the sky. After leaving the radiant world, wherever I go, you chase after me. How annoying. Meng Lingtian shouted at the dark clouds in annoyance. Rumble. The dark clouds rumbled. It was as if they were warning Meng Lingtian. I know. Go back. I'll go back to the radiant world, okay? You're the boss. Meng Lingtian was annoyed and speechless. Chapter 530. The World of Light. Yang Chuan, who had lost himself, gradually regained his senses after the rain stopped and his lust dissipated. Furthermore, for some unknown reason, his blood-red hair slowly turned black, and his heartbeat slowed down. Everything returned to normal. The blood sea around him receded. Yang Chuan's cultivation had reached the 5th level of the Qi realm, 2 levels in a row. But Yang Chuan didn't care about his cultivation at this moment, because there was a bigger problem in front of him. He was completely naked, and there was a naked woman underneath him. It was Meng Rongrong. Meng Rongrong seemed to have fallen asleep, but the dried tears at the corner of her eyes told him everything that had happened. What? Yang Chuan looked at himself and Meng Rongrong in shock. Suddenly, everything that had happened before flashed through his mind. Thinking about everything that had happened, Yang Chuan's face showed a trace of bitterness. At the same time, he looked down at Meng Rongrong with a trace of guilt in his eyes. He gently got up and carefully pulled himself out of Meng Rongrong's body. Maybe it was a little too big of a movement, or maybe it was because Meng Rongrong's wounds hadn't healed, but Meng Rongrong suddenly felt a pain in her sleep and frowned as she opened her eyes. Suddenly, the two were face to face. Meng Rongrong had just woken up, and her mind was still in a mess. Yang Chuan quickly got up. Ah! Meng Rongrong suddenly reacted and let out a long scream. But soon, Meng Rongrong stopped screaming and curled up, sobbing softly. Yang Chuan looked around for clothes, but there was only a pile of tattered clothes on the floor. There wasn't a single complete piece of cloth. Looking at the sobbing Meng Rongrong, Yang Chuan sighed and said, "Miss Meng, what's done is done. Come back with me." Meng Rongrong gently raised her head and looked at Yang Chuan, slightly confused. "Go back?" "Yes, soon I will go back and establish a country. Come back with me and be my empress." Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said, "I don't want to, you bastard, I hate you, I hate you." Meng Rongrong suddenly cried again. Yang Chuan frowned, not knowing what to do. After all, he was the one who had gone crazy. While Yang Chuan was thinking about how to comfort Meng Rongrong, suddenly, a round wheel appeared on the ground in front of Yang Chuan, emitting a large amount of white light. It was as if a small altar had appeared out of thin air. Wang! A white light flashed, and a kitten suddenly appeared on the small altar. "Meow! Big pervert, you're again? Huh! You, what did you do just now?" "Meow! Meow, I didn't see anything. Meow, I didn't see anything." Meow covered her eyes with her small paws, but still secretly looked at the two of them curiously. "Yang Chuan! Meng Rongrong! Meow, quickly take out 2 sets of clothes." Yang Chuan suddenly shouted. "I didn't see, Meow didn't see." Meow covered her eyes. "Stop pretending, quickly take out the clothes. It's not like I didn't see it last time." Yang Chuan was speechless. Last time, when they fell into the Sound River vortex in the Tiger Tribe's territory, their clothes were indeed torn once. "Oh." Meow thought about it and agreed. Meow quickly took out 2 sets of clothes. Yang Chuan handed one to Meng Rongrong. He wore one for himself. "You carry it." Meng Rongrong curled up and said, "Okay." Yang Chuan nodded. "Meow. Didn't I see it last time? What's there to be embarrassed about?" Meow didn't understand. However, the two of them wouldn't listen to Meow's nagging. They quickly put on their clothes. Chapter 531. Meng Rongrong put on Yang Chuan's clothes again. "Meow, there's a pool of blood here. Is someone hurt?" Meow jumped to a piece of cloth. Meng Rongrong saw it and immediately snatched it and put it away carefully. "Meow. This blood is yours. Why are you snatching it?" Meow was speechless. Meng Rongrong. "Meow, how did you get here?" Yang Chuan was puzzled. "Isn't it your fault? I woke up and found you gone. I asked around but no one knew. Qing Long and the rest were looking for you everywhere. You didn't even say anything when you went out. Luckily, I'm powerful. I thought about it and appeared in front of you." Meow said proudly. "Thought about it and you appeared? Was it the clan contract you made with me back then?" Yang Chuan frowned. When he first met Meow, Meow bit Yang Chuan and made a clan contract. "What clan contract?" Meow was puzzled. "Forget it if you forgot." "No. Tell me what the clan contract is." Meow insisted. "Can you appear in someone else's place?" Yang Chuan explained. "No. That's right. You made a clan contract with me. Logically speaking, I can summon tigers, especially you. When I summon you, you will be able to sense it. As long as you agree, you can be summoned to me instantly. But I didn't expect you to be able to come here on your own," Yang Chuan said strangely. "Meow. When did I make a clan contract with you? Why don't I remember?" Meow said in disbelief. Yang Chuan looked at Meow and sighed. He didn't want to explain. The more he talked, the more his head hurt. Meng Rongrong stood up and picked up the zither that had fallen not far away. She bit her lips and looked at Yang Chuan with a complicated expression. There was hatred in his eyes, as well as another indescribable emotion. "Miss Meng Rongrong? Yang Chuan looked at Meng Rongrong. Don't call me, I don't want to see you. Meng Rongrong's voice was filled with shame and anger. Meng Rongrong stepped forward and walked into the forest. But before he could walk far, a strong light suddenly shone from afar. Boom! It was the nature energy. It instantly filled the miasma area. Without the black rose, the miasma was no match for the nature energy. In the blink of an eye, half of it was purified. Yang Chuan's expression changed. He reached out and grabbed the Jade Emperor sword from the ground. He hugged Miao and looked around solemnly. Rumble. A huge force enveloped Yang Chuan. Miao. What's going on? Miao exclaimed. Whoosh. Whoosh. Yang Chuan and Meng Rongrong were suddenly pulled up from the ground by a huge force. Apart from Meng Rongrong, there were also many Confucian cultivators around. In the distance, the entrance to the world of light opened again. Everyone was abruptly pulled out by a tremendous force, all sent out of the light world. Bam! Bam! 60 Confucian cultivators, along with Yang Chuan and Meng Rongrong, fell into the 100 Sages' righteousness altar. Where are my books? Where are my books? A few Confucian cultivators exclaimed. Fart! Fart! A few Confucian cultivators kept vomiting water. This was especially true for Confucian Chen Ping. His stomach had swelled up, and he was on the verge of death. Junior brother Chen Ping? What happened to him? Liu Zilu asked in a low voice. Chen Ping can't swim, Wang Long said with an ugly expression. Can't swim? How did you get water all over your bodies? Did you all fall into the river? Liu Zilu asked in a low voice. Yeah. Wang Long nodded, conflicted. Liu Zilu. At the 100 Sages' righteousness altar, a large number of Confucian cultivators were standing guard. Yu Yi glared at them. World of Light, at the entrance of the Hall of Light. Chapter 532. Meng Lingtian looked at Meng Ziqiu coldly. So many people. Meng Ziqiu, what did you do? Meng Lingtian said coldly. Great-grandfather, I was careless. Meng Ziqiu said bitterly. I've already thrown them all out. I don't want there to be a next time, Meng Lingtian said. Yes, there won't be a next time, Meng Ziqiu said immediately. There won't be a next time? Look at the Julu Academy now. What have you done to it? Meng Lingtian said coldly. Meng Ziqiu didn't dare to say anything. Pick a few smart ones among the descendants of the Academy Masters. I'll reopen the entrance to the world of light in a month. Let them in. I'll teach them well, Meng Lingtian said coldly. Yes, Meng Ziqiu said bitterly. At the 100 Saints' altar of righteousness. Miao, why won't you let us go? Miao shouted at the Confucian scholar blocking the way. Liu Zilu and the others also wanted to leave, but Li Yi shook his head and refused. At this moment, Meng Ziqiu suddenly stepped out of the world of light. Whoosh! The entrance to the world of light suddenly closed. Meng Ziqiu looked at everyone and finally said, let them go. Yes. The Confucian scholars answered. Yang Chuan glanced at Meng Ziqiu and stepped out with the others. As for Meng Rongrong, she walked at the front. After leaving the plaza, Meng Rongrong quickly flew away. Seeing Meng Rongrong leave, Yang Chuan sighed softly. Miao. What did you and Meng Rongrong do in there? Miao asked curiously. Yang Chuan shook his head and didn't say anything. Did you do something indecent? Miao's eyes suddenly lit up. Yang Chuan. Wasn't it? Did she do something indecent to you? Miao's eyes lit up even more. Slap. Yang Chuan slapped Miao's head. If you talk nonsense again, I'll deduct your spirit stones. Yang Chuan said. Miao, did I speak? I didn't say anything. Miao feigned ignorance. Yang Chuan smiled. Half a month later. East Hall. Heavens, I'm such an intelligent person, yet I still have to study. Dongfang Zhengpai's cries could be heard from Dongfang Hall. Yang Chuan walked out of the hall curiously. Yang Chuan, I'm running away. You can stay in the East Palace Hall by yourself. Do you have any spirit stones? Give me some. It'll last me for a while. It's fine if you don't have spirit stones. Give me some of your words and I'll go sell them. Dongfang Zhengpai ran over and said. What's going on? Yang Chuan asked doubtfully. How would I know? The headmaster came to talk to me and told me to go to a senior's place to further my studies. Do I still need to further my studies? Dongfang Zhengpai replied. Study further? Yang Chuan was surprised. Yeah, right, there are a few more. The dean said that his daughter, Meng Rongrong, will be there too. Dongfang Zhengpai said. Quick, I have to leave. If I don't leave now, I won't have another chance in the future, Dongfang Zhengpai said anxiously. At this moment, 6 figures in white suddenly flew over from afar. It was old Yang and the others. Why are you guys here? Dongfang Zhengpai asked curiously. The dean said that he was worried that you would run away, so he asked us to accompany you. Old Yang said with a smile. Dongfang Zhengpai. A month passed in the blink of an eye. The Eastern Orthodox faction was about to embark on a path of darkness. His face was full of frustration. Yang Chuan sent him out of the East Hall, holding a jade box in his hand. Help me give this jade box to Meng Rongrong. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said. Ah! Dongfang Zhengpai looked at Yang Chuan strangely. Just leave it to her. You don't have to say anything. Yang Chuan said. Don't tell me that you and Meng Rongrong are really having an affair. The Tiger Tribe's encampment last time. Dongfang Zhengpai was instantly interested. Scram. Yang Chuan kicked Dongfang Zhengpai's butt. Dongfang Zhengpai hugged the jade box and felt slightly better. He followed old Yang and the others and slowly flew away. Chapter 533. Time passed quickly. There were only 10 days left before the Heaven's Gift Conference. More and more experts gathered in Julu City. The Julu Academy had become the center of attention in the Centennial Heaven's Gift Conference. There were many experts and even a large number of Emptiness Realm experts. The entire Julu City was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. The East Hall. The hall was wide open. Miao was resting lazily on a small tea chair. Yang Chuan was chatting with a short-haired girl while drinking tea at a small table in the center of the hall. The short-haired girl was dressed in a tight suit. She had a fierce and heroic aura. It was the Emperor, whom he had not seen for many years. When I came here, I saw Sword Aura lingering outside the East Hall. Did you set up a formation? The Emperor asked while sipping his tea. The Heaven's Gift Conference is approaching. More and more Emptiness Realm experts are gathering here. I have to guard against accidents. You have good eyesight. You can see the formation outside. Yang Chuan smiled while sipping his tea. I've been here for 3 days. Rumor has it that you want to fight for the god's investiture strategy? The Emperor asked. That's right. Why do you want it? Yang Chuan asked curiously. I want the Tian Ce, the Emperor said. Oh. Yang Chuan was surprised. My saber can sense your sword. Does that mean that your sword has a sword spirit? The Emperor looked at the Jade Emperor sword on Yang Chuan's back. That's right. Since it has a sword spirit, it is not in the rank 9 realm. It seems that you have had a fortuitous encounter in the past few years. The Emperor nodded and sighed. How's the investigation of your father's incident? Yang Chuan asked. There are some clues. The Emperor shook his head and did not want to say more. I've sorted out some information from 6,000 years ago. I'll give it to you later. As for whether it's useful, you can see for yourself. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said. Thank you. The Emperor nodded. His eyes softened. He came here to ask Yang Chuan to help him collect some information. After all, Yang Chuan had stayed in Julu City for 2 years. Julu City definitely had the most historical information. Who would have thought that Yang Chuan was already prepared? The Emperor didn't like to talk too much. He just drank his tea quietly. You fought for Tian Ce because you wanted to establish a sect? Yang Chuan asked. Something like that. However, I don't like to build. I'll establish a sect and take in 12 disciples. That's all I need to do to fulfill my father's final wish, the Emperor said indifferently. 12 apostles. Who knows how many saber cultivators wish to be able to learn under Saber Demon, Yang Chuan said with a smile. The emperor's expression remained indifferent as he continued to drink his tea. Yang Chuan knew that this was not because the empress looked down on him, but because of her personality. Moreover, up until now, Yang Chuan had never seen the empress smile. While the two of them were drinking tea, the clouds and mist outside suddenly swayed. The saintess is here. Qing Long's excited voice came from outside the hall. Qing Long and Bai Long immediately ran to the square. Yang Chuan's expression changed. He stood up and walked out of the hall. The emperor looked at Yang Chuan. There was no dissatisfaction in his eyes. This was his personality. There was no need to be too polite. Yang Chuan walked out of the hall. 10 figures landed on the square. Mo Yushi, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, Mr. Munro, Jiu Holy Sun, and 5 unfamiliar faces. Jiu Holy Sun? Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Why was he here? Greetings, saintess. Qing Long and Bai Long said respectfully. Millimeter. Mo Yushi nodded and turned to look at Yang Chuan. Seeing Yang Chuan, Mo Yushi smiled gently. This smile seemed to be filled with endless longing. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,